What you sticking it? What? Huh? What?
Oh, I don't know.
That reminds me of I was about to say what you sticking in your, and my babies be sticking stuff in their diapers and stuff now. So that's a valid question.
Did they get to the phase of like taking them off yet?
We keep onesies on them so they don't have the axe. They try though.
Yeah,
they try
because we're potty training.
Keith.
My now 3-year-old. I can't say 2 because he turned 3.
Yeah, how was the party? I'm sorry we missed that.
Okay, hold on. Before we do that,
yeah.
What is up, everybody? I'm your girl, the princess of all,
and I'm Cujo Speaks,
and we have a lucky guest that came to chill with us today, y'all. The one, the only, Oh, do you want to go by your name or do you want to nickname?
Wait, we got to get you a radio name.
I know. Do you want to do H Dog is in the house?
H-Dizzle. This is my daughter, my oldest daughter. Those of you who've been around for a while, you will remember a stretch of like 4 months where I talked about her daily, and I
almost beat him up daily because I was like, "You're wrong."
No, well,
you're wrong.
Now she lived to tell the tales. All right, so we've patched up everything, and now she's here to tell y'all a bunch of embarrassing stories.
Just know that I got you guys' back here, okay? Because I'm always like,
I come on here and I vent about y'all a lot, and she's like, "Don't be talking about them like that. Don't be."
I'm just like, how you gonna ignore them? Like, no,
easily.
No, be the bigger person. He's like, no,
it's very easy.
No. I'm like, no, you're wrong.
Well, no.
You're wrong.
But I'm not. So,
but it all works out. It all works out, for the best, because as parents, we have our ways of teaching our children, and everyone may not understand, but hey, if it works and it gets the results, that's all that matters.
Facts.
But y'all, today is Good Monday. We have so much to talk about today and so much to catch up on. Right. We have the weekend. Riri pulled a me on me.
Oh, here we go.
We're gonna talk about that from the Super Bowl. Because I don't even want nobody to say Riri is the first person that did it.
Look, I'm not even gonna give it away, but to our true listeners, they'll know when I say I don't know how this kept happening. Think of P when I say that, and you'll know what she's talking about.
Exactly. So I want everybody to be aware that we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about just our weekend because I feel like it's been like almost 2 weeks.
It has. Yeah. So we got to talk about the past 2 weekends, which I don't know.
Lot.
They were fairly eventful, but uneventful on a parent side. Yeah. It's been definitely eventful, but as far as like,
oh yeah, because you guys had to go toward the city last week and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We have. I told you we good now. We Gucci, baby.
So cute.
All it took was me spending some money on her and we straight.
Money makes the world go round.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah,
okay. Look, she said it was a lot of money.
I'll be taking care of my boo.
To be correct. Hey, listen. That is all that matters.
Big Tone in the building. What's up, big bro? It's good to see you, man. I miss y'all out there.
What's up?
So Keith is from Boston, a good friend of mine, and we went to the Boston game, and the whole time he was like, "Go Boston, go Boston!" And of course, Boston smacked us. So he on here talking about Celtics with the win.
My son plays for the Celtics on his little basketball.
I was about to say too. Look, I know you done had a lot of kids and all, but excuse me.
Oh, there we go. But no, he plays for like the little township or whatever of where we live, and their team is called the Celtics.
Boo.
The Celtics are legendary. Let me tell you, the Celtics was my favorite team. Okay, Rajon Rondo, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. That year of the Celtics was me. I was a Celtics. Team. I think that's the only jersey that I had.
What brought you to them though? Which one of those players were your player, or did you just somehow?
I just liked all of them. I loved Kevin Garnett's energy. Team. I loved Ray Allen, the way he used to chew that gum on that cart with the horse chewing. I was like, what is you doing? Okay. That's and then hilarious. I did have like a small smidget crush on Alien Boy Rondo during that time.
Huh? How?
Yeah. You don't want to know who my new crush is on the Pistons?
Oh, go ahead. I know. Tell the world, because I'm sure they will.
I forgot his name. What's his name again?
Killian Hayes.
Yeah, he is fine.
Killian
I'm sure the world would agree with you. A lot of women think he's sexy.
And he's Killian. French, you said?
Yeah. But you thought he was sexy before you even knew Parlez-vous Français.
Wait, what's his name?
Killian Hayes, the young cat. We I think he's been 2 years now?
He's a young cat.
He's 21.
Ew. He looks like a baby.
She like him light skin. She like him light.
He's so young. How old is he? Oh yeah, 21.
Yeah.
He looks like
he looked like a baby.
I'm like, he don't even look like he got no hair on his chest.
Yeah, he probably don't. He looked like he used to be a swimmer.
He does.
Does anybody know what that means?
He looks very,
Swimmers
very
are silky smooth.
Well, they have to shave their whole body.
Silky.
The last players that I remember on the Pistons, don't shun me, and my brother probably would because he's a Pistons fanatic. When Derrick Rose was here, didn't Blake Griffin play for a minute?
He's now on Boston.
Blake Griffin on Boston.
Booed the hell out of him.
Why?
Because you don't know what happened when he left. See, that's why
what
we
did
need.
He do? No,
so he was hurt.
Watching the Pistons.
He was hurt for like the last 2 years he was here, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he got traded, if I'm not mistaken, he went straight to Brooklyn. Like his first game at Brooklyn, he gonna rise up and dunk on somebody. I'm like, dog, you ain't dunked in 2 years.
Well,
don't you listen? I know you lost Ye, the person you always back up no matter what. Don't choose Blake Griffin to take his side now over everybody else. Keith, Mason is still around. Mason is still actually there.
I mean, in all honesty, can you blame anybody who plays for that particular city and don't ball out particularly?
Yeah,
I mean,
but still, it kind of hurt my feelings. But I'm the guy who still is mad about Grant Hill leaving us like in the 90s.
Hill. Oh my goodness.
He was my dude. Listen, I idolized the guy. I wanted to be Grant Hill. Okay. I'm not light enough to be Grant Hill, but I wanted to be. And when he left me, I felt like he was going to get the milk and he never came back.
He was like that.
I'm entitled to have my feelings.
Who said, I'm going to the grocery store and never came back.
Well, I mean, honestly, like on a serious note, if you think about it, a lot of young black men and I mean, some young white men too, fathers leave and then they end up idolizing, a sports figure or, music. And that's who raises them, right? Yeah. Like Uncle Phil and Carl Winslow raised more young black men than their original fathers.
A lot of people didn't even realize that either. Mm-hmm. Like how much their impact was.
Oh yeah, it's facts. Yeah. So that was heartbreaking, but it is what it is.
That's very.
I turned out all right, I guess.
This camera angle can see my screen. I forgot. I'm over here like working.
I'm
not doing anything bad. I'm working, but.
B. Riley, what up, brother?
I don't want the world to know my passwords.
Thank you for joining. For those of you just joining on the Instagram, just joining on the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitch, the app, on the radio. What's up, radio folks? We forgot to say hello to you specifically.
Hi,
we love you.
Fam, bam.
I have my daughter in the building with me today. My oldest daughter in the building with me today.
You're 16 now?
Yeah, okay. She thinks she's grown. She thinks she grown, y'all.
I mean, 16 was a pivotal moment in every girl's life where, you find yourself.
Yeah.
Become one.
You'll find yourself out of the house if you find yourself too much.
Hey, we're not doing that today, okay? She's here to have fun.
No, we Gucci, man. We Gucci. Me and her are good. Fun.
But what brings you in? Are you interested in the radio world?
I wasn't interested until he brought me, so shoot.
We came up here to visit one time or drop something. I think I came to get the Be Legendary Letterman jacket, and I showed her the office. And she was like, "Man, I want to come on air with you one day." I'm like, "Don't play games. Don't play games. I'll bring you in." She's a great writer too, so I'm trying to push her towards the journalism side of life.
That world is pretty interesting.
I told her investigative journalism would be great for her. Investigative reporting, because she got an attitude. She don't take no for an answer. She's tenacious, and apparently she's a great writer. So I think that works. To me, it does. I think that's like the prerequisites.
I might actually look into that. That seems interesting.
You should. There's what was that show? The Alaskan is a new show that with what's her face, the one that played $1 Million Baby.
Yeah,
I forget her name.
I don't know, but I know her face from that movie. That was like her debut movie. I feel like
it was one. I think it was one of her biggest ones. But anyway, she's an investigative reporter, and like the way she does her thing, it reminds me of how I think you would be, to where you're highly respected because you don't take no for an answer. You're just in people's faces to get the right answers and figure out what you like being in people's business.
I also feel like being a journalist, you have to have tough skin, because do you watch All American? Do you guys watch that? Did you see like how for
the baker?
The baker girl Olivia, it was hard for her to write a story on her boyfriend because it's like, do I ruin his career and blow up everybody and not take the fall for it, or
you sure do.
So it's those little bitty things with journalism, because you have to have I feel like you have to have dignity, but everybody doesn't believe that. I mean, it just depends on if you can run a 40-yard dash, because if you write that story and they see you,
it's a matter of you got to have a good moral compass, and you got to be ready for the fallout too. That show, The Alaskan, had a really good point on that. And early in the season, there was a dude who this girl investigated or whatever, and then it turned out he did something super shady or whatever, but he like begged her not to run the story because it would ruin his life. She ran the story, and he ended up killing himself the next day because the story came out.
Where you see that?
It's called a show called The Alaskan. So that is one of the legit. It's legit one of the dangers of you potentially will be ruining people's lives, but to what cost? You know what I mean? Like,
but that's always that fine line,
right?
Because did I ruin your life, or did the action you
ruined your life? I'm just bringing it to light,
and I'm just informing others on the bad decision that you made.
Well, just like everything else, though, like I always say, you gotta consequences are king. If you can handle, and I tell you this all the time, if you can handle the consequences of your actions, and you want to take that risk, and you want to leap and take that jump, cool. As long as you can handle the fallout.
Can you handle it?
A lot of people can't. Unfortunately. Just people run around doing things and nothing happens to them, and they think it's all good, but it ain't all good, because things should be happening to people that do things they ain't supposed to be doing.
What he said. But what else has been going on over the last couple of weeks? I know I've had like party galore. It was
start with that. How'd the party go?
It went good. So my 3-year-old, he's very simple. It actually ended up turning out to be another party for my eldest child, because my 3-year-old don't have friends. He's 3. Who you calling?
Right.
So it ended up just being like my son's friends from school and like some of my little cousins or whatever. I mean, he had 10 kids there. I mean, that's a lot of kids for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And only 3 of them were 3.
How old were the other ones?
Like 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. But the place that we went to, it's just like, it's an overall fun place. Like the way, I don't know what material they use on their equipment, but they allow the adults to get up there and play too.
Where'd y'all go?
It's a play place over on like the southwest side. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after air. But
I don't want people knowing where I've been.
Where I'm at in these streets. Because it's only one. It's only one. It's not like a franchise place.
Like
I think it's the only one that's like
I looked it up online. It looks dope for that age range.
It's fun because they can run, and like there's a track that's like around the playground set for like the parents to walk. So if you walk 4 laps, that's a mile. Y'all know I had to get my laps in.
Goodness gracious.
But like I said, it was fun. My husband was like chasing the kids, and he was like going up the slides and all that kind of stuff because it's good for the big kids. But he was fun just to be able to get out and run, because my babies don't go anywhere. We're very housebound, because it's just like Where do
Oh my
I?
God.
I
Did
don't
you?
think I told. Did I tell you my babies got kicked out of?
You did.
I
Tell
did
me
tell
that.
you. Oh
did
my
tell
god!
me
I'll
that.
save that story. I'll tell you all that story in
Oh,
a
yeah,
minute.
you
Talking
told
about
me that like a
housebound.
couple of days before the party.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the party was fine. Okay, now tell us about your kids getting kicked out.
So
How did what? Almost 2 year
not
olds.
2 yet. They turned 2 in April.
Almost 2.
So when it comes to being housebound kids, my kids don't like nobody
They're like
but
their mom.
us. Facts. Like we're all straight. Like I used to be the most social person on the planet. Anybody listening that knows me prior to me stopping drinking, I was the most social person on the planet. Her and her mother and her siblings have turned me into the most.
We rubbed off on him.
Oh man, I am so grumpy. I don't like going places. I don't like being around people no more. And my babies are the same way. So my mom just had back surgery, so she couldn't watch them. And I had we went out for the day down to the city. So they went to the center with my wife.
Okay, she started the new.
No. She's still at the center.
Oh, okay.
So my wife works at an early child development place or whatever, basically a daycare. So it should be fine, run around, whatever the case may be. The second they got there, Maddox threw a toy at a 7-month-old. Wow. Right? So he gets kicked out of the little baby room. Okay, go with the older kids. So they're playing, having fun, all of that. They go to put them down for a nap. And I guess it was like World War III.
So that's the part I do not agree with
Forced
daycare
nap
centers.
times?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, have an area for nap kids and
Right.
then have an area for kids to still play. Because what if my child gets an adequate amount of sleep at night and they're just not sleeping?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when my brother was in like kindergarten. This was back when you took naps in kindergarten
Way
classes.
back in the day.
My mom would get a phone call home almost every day because my brother did not want to take a nap during nap time. I mean,
Yeah.
he would sit there and he would play and he would do everything on the little cot. And they're like, he's not. She's like, he gets enough sleep at night. What do you want me to
Right.
do?
That's what I was
don't
telling
like
Courtney.
that. That's not.
I was telling her that too. I'm like, the only problem you're gonna have is them going down. So because of how I've learned how they like to do things during the day, I just lay down. I'll turn off Coco Melon or whatever the cartoons are, and I'll either turn on like the slow YouTube
Sleepy.
music, which we use at night, right? Or I'll put on something that they won't be
Interested in.
Look,
Yeah.
speaking of music and Rihanna, she got a song that I could put on that sounds just like they
Oh,
let me
the
take
Lift
off.
Me Up?
I showed her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring that in one day, or I gotta do a video because I was just commenting on Rachel's thing about the show. We literally have this little dolphin that has little stars on the ceiling and all that, and there is a song on there that is the exact same
The
melody,
instrumental,
tone, instrument, all of that as "Lift Me Up."
I wonder where
You know,
she
the
get it from.
do
then.
do 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 do. I'm like, she just had a kid. She probably heard that and
She
was
probably
like,
did, and
Yeah.
probably
"Oh, we
wrote
got to
the song
record
to
this."
it.
I'm telling you, I'm surprised
probably true.
nobody else has put this on the interwebs yet, but I need to hurry up. So I just lay down and they'll eventually crawl up on me and go to sleep. And that's how it's, you know what I mean? That's how we do it.
Yeah.
So even when Courtney tries to put them down, or when I used to try to put them down at the time I thought they should go down, it's World War III.
Yeah.
Even at night when they're going to bed, they're still you're gonna hear them crying for at least 20 minutes, half hour. So there is no way in hell they're gonna go with some strangers to a new place and
go
let
to
them put
sleep.
them down. Like I knew that wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So the director was just like, "Yeah, go ahead and get them home." So and this was like, it was early. It was pretty early. We were at the game at noon.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I think we had just got to the game, and she texted me and was like, "We're on the way home." Made me happy because I was a wreck all day. I couldn't
But
stop
you
thinking about
know,
it.
for the babies, I will say it is very hard breaking their sleep habits of
Mhm.
not holding them going to
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah,
Because we just had to break that with my youngest as well. And luckily, thank God, he is sleeping in his own bed
all night.
after all night until the morning time. Like if he wakes up, all I have to say is like, lay down, Diego, and then he'll lay back down, and then he'll go back to sleep. But like in the morning when he's up, he gets up and like comes to walk in
That's
our
fine.
bed. But
I wish, man.
but we started putting the bed in our room because I'm like, okay, I need to train him in our room first, and we're hoping by the end of this month we can boot him in the room with the other kids.
See, that's the thing.
But-
Their beds are in our room.
And they still won't
They
sleep in
won't
them.
stay in them.
It's hard. You definitely have to have some patience because the first week or two that we did it, it was like a go lay down, go lay down.
She
Go lay down
tries.
for,
Like
like, the first-
Courtney's tried plenty of times and for extended amounts of time. And it's not even them getting into the bed. Like we can get them down in the bed and they'll
But
go
they
to
just
sleep
won't stay.
in about an hour. Like you can set your clock to it.
They
In an
wake 'em
hour,
back up.
they're getting up, they're screaming, and they want to come in bed.
That's how he was with us. It was like he knew that he wasn't in his bed
Right.
or our bed, because at that point his bed was our bed.
Right.
It was like, I don't know if he just do the sheet textures, or like we even
It's
tried
something.
to take our sheets and put it on his bed
I've tried
and
all
be
that.
like, okay, this is your bed. Like we tried everything, but luckily we got it. But it is really, really hard, because when they go other places, then it makes people who are watching them have to hold them to go to
Yeah.
sleep or all those kinds of things. And that's why we were like, okay, we definitely gotta train him. Because
Keith said, "I'll take a forced nap time any time of the day." Facts. Me too, bro.
man.
But I don't know. I feel like, and maybe this is just because it's our last two and whatever the case may be. I'm like,
It's definitely that.
I don't see any reason to force the issue because I'm home. You know what I mean? Like one of us are always around. They don't have to go to daycare. They don't go to babysitters often. They don't. So there's no reason.
What? But what else could you be doing if they're sleeping by themselves
Nothing.
and not on you? You
Nothing.
could be working out.
I could
You
be
could
editing. I could be
you could
editing
be
videos.
You
Look.
could be doing something to where you have.
She's
some
basically
free
telling me to
time.
put my babies down without me so I can get my ass to work.
Listen, because
She's like,
as
"You got videos
parents,
there."
okay, I just had to like go through this self analogy. As parents, sometimes we crutch our babies so much that it crutches us as parents, because we're like, well, what other reason why I can just do this for them? And it's
Right.
like, no, you need that space or that time to just breathe, to just
I get them
think,
down.
to
So
just-
now I'm able to slip out from under them because they won't let you do anything but lay flat with both of them on your back. And I physically can't do that. It hurts after a certain amount of time. Like Courtney woke up this morning and was like, my shoulder again, because they want to crawl and,
Yeah.
So I've started getting them down. And once they're down, I'll slip out or whatever.
Yeah,
and then, you gotta, so I've started doing that. But during the day, it all depends for me. If I'm tired, if I'm exhausted still because I woke up early or whatever the case may be, then I'll hold them on that myself. But if I do want to get up and do some things or whatever the case may be, I'll slip out and, go do my thing. I just bought a bass guitar, so I've been doom, 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 doom.
I've been hearing you downstairs.
I'm getting all right?
No.
You shut your face hole. I knew she was just going to be sitting here lying.
It sounds like racket down there.
Okay. How about
No,
this?
I gotta put my AirPods in order to not hear you.
After the show tonight, I'm gonna go home and I will record myself with the. I'm gonna tag you, and if I ever get your new Instagram, I'm gonna tag. This is spam.
There's someone pretending to be him on this.
I'm gonna wear a mask so you don't even get somebody actually dope at the base.
This is not him.
Whatever,
okay,
man.
this is not him.
Anyway,
It's okay though.
So our main thing is at this point, because there's a few things that they still do that obviously we hate. Like, did your baby spit their water out all the time? Did that ever happen to you?
No, he just throws and spit his food out instead.
So okay, at least we ain't got the food problem. So Maddox, every time he eats, he puts his fingers all the way in his mouth and like feels his food as he's eating it, which is super strange. And now they both, it used to just be Maddox, but they both spit their water out. Like they don't drink it, they run and spit it on stuff and spit it into stuff. And
now that's my 3-year-old.
Okay.
He likes to play with water. Like,
I don't understand.
He has a kitchen set and he continues to pour water into the fake sink and like the dishes, and like he gets it from like, where did you find that bottle of water from? I thought I hit them all. Yeah.
But at least you got a pouring water problem. Like we give them a sippy cup.
They'll do that too.
Like
I think I saw one of them sucking some water out the carpet.
Ooh.
Luckily, we just had cleaned our carpet, but I was like, dog, you are right. Listen, kids are disgusting. No. Like some of the things, I'm like, where did you get that from?
They're
because
filthy.
I didn't approve this message.
No.
So
I remember one day it was under the bed and we give him bananas every morning. So he came out with something that was all crusty and like black. I was like, what is this? It was an old banana. Like, oh, gross.
No, because one of the funniest things I've seen Maddox do is he'll walk out if he has his shirt off and he'll start rubbing his belly. That is so funny. I'll see him and I'll just start laughing because it's funny.
He's definitely my child.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm like, are you telling me you're hungry? Because he walk around.
Put like, something in my belly.
Yeah, well,
in my belly.
I mean, he is his father's child.
Yeah,
I don't
kids are definitely
I feel like it's gonna get easier at the point where they can communicate. So at least I know when I'm telling them something, it's registering or they can understand what I'm telling them. And I feel like before that happens, it's talking to a brick wall when it comes to trying to reason with them or like explain stuff to them or don't do that and expect them not to do it. I feel like those things aren't going to happen. So I'm not going to continue to like spit in the water out. People are like, oh, just pop them in the mouth and take the water away. Okay, so you want me to pop him in the mouth and take water away? What happens when he keeps doing it? Keep popping him for what? He's obviously not getting the point.
Smacking him in the mouth.
Right. With me, if I hit
I don't know,
if I hit one of my
depends.
kids
I
and it
might
doesn't
just
work,
smack
I'm
him.
gonna stop. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just gonna continue to beat you down. If you're not learning anything, I got to switch up the way I'm trying to teach you.
I gotta switch up the way I pop you, so now I'm
Right.
gonna pop you with the left
So
hand.
I went from beating her down constantly and yelling at her to just not talking to her at all. And the
So you're
beatings
just
didn't
not gonna
work.
talk to the babies?
I'm not shy and talk to them all day today. I'll let them scream now. Like I feel like I've babied them. We've babied them so much that they understand that screaming gets them things.
Yeah.
So now they go ape anytime they want anything, or just because.
Yeah.
And we jump to it and figure out how to shut them up. So we're teaching them bad habits because they know that's the one thing I think they know. If I scream long enough and loud enough, I'm gonna get what I want.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, isn't that technically when you put it in retrospection?
Sure.
Made that up. When you look at it from the adult's point of view, isn't that everybody in life? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want my paycheck, I'm gonna keep asking HR about it. If I want this, I'm gonna keep asking. So it's babies. I mean, it's kind of just natural.
But there's obviously a good way and a bad way to do everything. And
yeah, that's true.
Like if I want something, I can't just go scream for hours until I get it.
I mean, you could.
That'd be disorderly conduct, and I'll be in jail. All right.
I mean, would it work for you? I don't really know, but you could do that. You could. It's the could that counts for something.
I think too. I was telling my wife, as you guys all know, I deal with PTSD and depression and anxiety really bad. And lately, I've been realizing that the screaming, like auditory things for people with PTSD, is obviously huge, right? Like loud noises, loud bangs, all of a sudden noise, or constant irritating noise will trigger anxiety and like freakouts. Mm-hmm. So lately, if I'm any kind of tired or any kind of frustrated already, that screaming triggers the hell out of me and I immediately get super frustrated. And I have to work really hard to calm myself down and realize like, hey, you're real pissed. And they're babies, dog.
Is it relax. Like the high pitchness of it that
it's that sound immediately, like it makes me start sweating, my heart starts racing all hard, and like today, you know, how many times today I was like, I
know,
probably about 7.
Sometimes the other day I went in my room and I locked the door and I just ate a muffin. And I just sat on my bed. They're banging at the door.
You rocking at the door. Oh, why'd I keep doing this to myself?
They're just banging on the door. Mommy, where are you? Let me in. I'm just
funny.
Like, I'm gonna enjoy this muffin.
I started using my JBL and turning it up as loud as I can to try to drown them out. That worked.
I do that too.
Or put my earbuds in.
My babies like music. So if I throw on music, they good. They just start dancing and being on my way. But anything else, they're all up in my face.
Man.
In my face.
You got to realize that it's not their fault. And this is much easier said than done. Yeah. Obviously, anybody with kids knows it's much easier said than done. But even all the way up to my daughter and my oldest twins, they're 17. But at the same time, they're still your kids, right? And there's certain phases they have to go through regardless of who you are. And I'm finding out it doesn't matter what you've tried to do differently than any other parent. It doesn't matter how good you are to your kids, how much you provide for them, how little you provide for them. Every human being is going to go through phases in life.
Yeah.
And there's a certain pushback to the parent phase that's going to happen no matter who you are. Mm-hmm. There's a certain so all of these phases aren't mutually exclusive to the individual. It's life.
Yeah.
The life cycle is stronger than the cycle of your household, right? And the archetype of people, people say you're in the Matrix and all that. If you look around the world at all 7 billion people on this planet, I guarantee you can look at somebody and be like, I know somebody that looks like him, or I know somebody who acts like that, or that person's probably X, Y, and Z because I've seen this. So although we're like snowflakes and we're all individuals, we're far more the same in the aspects of life of how you grow, what you do, than we think. You know, everybody's story is unique, but there are gonna be a lot of things that are gonna match up with people that you from across the world.
You didn't even know, and you're gonna resonate with that.
You
I mean, but
understand.
I think that's what makes people bond, when people actually start sharing their experiences with each other, versus like just looking at the outside picture, like, oh, you're this, you're that. Also, you would never be able to relate
Right.
to me. Like, how do you know? Like,
Right.
it is. I don't wear my battle scars on my forehead. Like, oh,
See,
I was dropped on my head as a baby. Like, you wouldn't know that.
Oh, man, our babies is I think about that all the time too. I know it's so wrong, but I'm like, man, I wonder if they scream like this because we dropped them a couple times and they got their brains
I feel
scrambled
like
out.
my oldest is, because I mean, he fell quite a bit, and he did have to have like stitches and stuff.
Oh, see, we didn't get to the sit. Oh, did I tell you Maddox busted his face and had a bloody nose?
No,
I almost died.
no.
Oh, almost died. I felt so bad.
Is that what the black?
Yeah, he's got a big old bruise.
Where
like,
on his eye?
He hit right here.
Mine had a titty, like right there. It was. I'm gonna call it a tit because it was a tit. He had a third eye. A third eye.
Yeah, I was glad he didn't. I mean, my thought was, you know, if you hit somebody, a grown up in the nose or nose bone can go up to.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, he's a baby, and I'm sure he ain't. You know, I would be seeing something worse than this little bloody nose, but seeing my little baby's bloody nose was terrible. I didn't know what to think. I don't
That's
even.
true. That's
I've never even
hard.
had a bloody nose.
That's always the hard part, like when babies get injured, because when my middle child broke his toe, like when the thing fell on his foot and he was screaming, I'm sitting on the couch and David's the one who grabbed him and took him in the bathroom, and he's like, babe, it's bleeding. I'm like, oh, just get a Band-Aid, wrap it up. Like, he's screaming because he just hit it. It just hurt. He's like, no, I think we need to go to the ER. I'm like, is it that bad? And then I walk in the bathroom. I'm like, oh,
His
yeah,
toe
we
was
gotta
hanging
go.
off.
We got to blast.
That's the super hard part. And but see, okay, so
because babies can't tell you, oh, it's broke or it hurts.
I think this is a good segue into having you here and asking you your opinion and how you feel about things, because as a parent, you're like, I can't wait till they can talk because they're going to tell me everything and how they feel, and it's going to be easier. But I feel like the older your kids get, they want to tell you stuff even less. So even though they're 16 and you think they're going to talk to you about and you can do X, Y, they still don't want to talk to you and tell you what's up.
Yeah, so why is that? On what it is, on what the subject is about. Because if I'm talking to you about something, like for instance, of how I feel about some situation, like, okay, I'm going to talk to you about it, especially if it bothers me, I'm going to talk to you about it. But I feel like more into about say battles that you're going through, because kids go through battles too.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like that's a harder topic to talk on, especially with your parents.
So what I've always wanted to, because I talked to my mom about everything growing up. Like, me and her had that kind of relationship, and I don't know if it was necessarily, good or whatever. But I love the relationship my mom and I had, because I could tell her anything. I'd bring girls to the house and we'd be talking about sex and talking about this, and I want to try this and I want to do that.
I think it depends on how you parent and the relation. So anytime I hear people talk like that, I feel like most parents are substituting for their lack of something. So I'm being the cool parent. So I'm being the cool parent because I'm lacking this. And sometimes when you're giving your kid the opposite, then you're not the cool parent, because I'm the structure and I want to tell you these things to prevent you. Because even my husband, his mom would let him do those things, but then it was a bunch of other things on the parental standpoint that was missing, and that wasn't happening. And so it was like, oh yeah, she's cool and I can do this and I can do that. But that's because she's letting you make mistakes and she's letting you do the wrong things. And I can understand.
Oh, wait. Well, hold on. I wasn't doing nothing wrong. All right. Don't let her get me painted as like I was out here running amok and running the street. Yes, I was above my age. I was living above my age range to some extent, but I was an all-A student. I was National Honor Society. I was, you know what I mean? Like, I had all those things taken care of. I guess what I've been trying to do as a parent is be the structured disciplinarian and give you all those, structured talks and all those kind of things, but also be that parent that you can come talk to, kick it with, hang out with, and have a good mix of both.
But is there a both?
I guess that's what I want to hear from your side of things, because I feel like no matter what, we talk about a lot of stuff, but I know there's still stuff you're uncomfortable talking to me about, and I'm not trying to put you on a spot, but
you're speaking for all the teens in the world right now.
In a general sense, though, what is it do you think that makes you more uncomfortable talking to us about life things, whether it be sex or how you're feeling mentally or any of that stuff, than talking to some strangers or your friends?
I feel like for me personally, the hardest part about talking to my parents about what I'm going through is the fact that I don't want to let them feel like they're doing a bad job as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel like is the because I feel like I thought that way too when I was coming up.
Yeah.
And when I was 15, I ended up moving out. And that was when the whole, like, everything just blew up. I'm like, you ain't taking care of me, you this, you that, blah, blah, blah. And I had my beef, with my mom or whatever. So there was, I felt like she wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even that.
That's the weird part with like the kid parent dynamic, right? Because as a kid, I was once 16.
No, you wasn't.
I know, right?
You came out the womb having babies.
Just
Don't
like
lie.
5 years ago, I was 16, and
she ain't real good at math, y'all.
like 5 years ago.
Not her strong suit.
And my parents are the same exact parents as they were back then. I mean, very open. I can go to them about anything. But like you said, as a kid, you still have that sense of, I don't want to let them down. I don't want them to know that I made a mistake, because as much as you know that you can talk to them, you're still trying to prove to them that you're a mature person and you're this. And even currently to this day, I'm still battling with that on certain things that I'm going through as a parent or just an adult. My parents are like, come talk to us. We know you don't have the answers, but me trying to prove to them like, oh, I do know how to do it. But then things are falling through the cracks and things like that. So it's just sometimes putting down that ego and being vulnerable, learning how to be vulnerable with your parents, because it's easy to talk to another friend, but like, they don't know. Like,
I think that's what I'm starting to learn too, is like to let down that sense of worrying and worry more about how I feel and letting them know how I feel.
Because honestly, to be real with you, and every parent on the planet can attest to this, all we think about all day, every day, whether it seems like it or not to you, is you and your well-being.
It's when you turn 18.
And oh man, she know. Oh, I done told she know. Not every parent, and you probably think a lot of parents are like me and have a conversations like, there's not many parents that talk to their kids like I talk to y'all, right? And I hope what I do all this for is so that when you're my age and somebody asks you about your childhood or growing up, you're like, I had a really dope childhood. You know what I mean? Like, me and my dad was traumatized. We always talked about this and that helped me do that. Like, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Right. I was just talking about that the other day with somebody. She had asked me a question, and I said, it's not even the fact that like I live a bad life or anything, because I live a perfect life. Like, I love what I have. I love what I'm doing as a child. Like, I'm still a child. I still have a home. I have a roof over my head, clothes on my back.
Facts.
Like, I'm eating still. Like, I have a good life.
Yeah. I think it's easy and I did this too. It's easy to compare your life with other people's lives, or I mean, only on the negative side though. Like, if somebody has more than you immediately are like, oh, my parents are effing up. They ain't got me. They didn't give me this. They didn't give me this. Person has this. This person got this. This person got that. Instead of realizing, like today, I was standing outside smoking and I was looking at the car. It'd be easy for me to sit there and be mad and be like, man, my car ain't working, this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. But what I was able to think about in that moment, which actually humbled me and I was surprised myself, is I looked at the house and I realized my car used to be my house. So everything that I'm trying to get out of, it was a huge, and I say perspective all the time. So I was able to, in that moment, because I was thinking about everything that needs to be done around the house. I want to get sod in the yard. I want to do this. I want to do that. Right. And I was starting to down my house. At the same time, I was looking at my car and it hit me like, that used to be your house. And now look at, why are you talking trash about this when that used to be your house?
But you only been back in your house like a couple of months.
May'll be a year. May'll be a year. After
they rebuilt it?
Mm-hmm. May'll be a year.
I feel like
it feels like it ain't been that long.
I thought you guys were during
rental?
Christmas. Yeah.
No, we got back in the house in May.
Wow.
Time's flying, ain't it?
I'm like, I thought that just happened around like Thanksgiving because I thought you were like, we'll be able to spend Thanksgiving in the new house. Oh
we still celebrating that fact because we never got to do that. Actually, cool fact, and I don't know if you even remember this or know this. February 9th, which was just not long ago, a couple days ago, was our 2-year anniversary when we bought the house.
About this house?
When we moved into it.
I saw you had posted that.
Yeah. I was feeling all funky that day too, and I was like, man, I wonder why. And then I found that out, and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
The day it all started.
Makes a lot of sense. But what I hope for, at least in our family, and truly I hope this happens for every family, because I feel like the parent and kid relationships will change and get better, which will breed better humans in the future, is for kids coming up to realize that your parents want nothing but the best things for you, no matter what.
The best.
Always. So when they're telling you no, you can't do X, Y, and Z thing, or they're keeping you from doing this or doing that, or blah blah blah, it's not to make your childhood worse. It's not to blow your spot up. It's because we see some sort of danger that we know we can't save you from once you do certain things or go certain places.
Sure.
And I think, as especially young parents, I consider myself a young parent. We're growing up alongside you. So I'm trying to figure out how to be the best parent for you while you're trying to figure out how to be a good human being and grow up and all that. So if you do that together and you let it coincide and you both grow together, then there isn't this division of, I don't want to talk to my parents and, oh, my kids just got to do what I tell them to. And then all of a sudden there's all this harbored hate. There's all this, retroactive pissed offness that this kid grows up with. Now they have daddy issues or mommy issues. And now they're making all these mistakes in their 20s to butt against their parents, just to find out in their 30s that they just wasted a decade on something that shouldn't have existed in the first place.
That's true. And, what I also realized is parenting is like, it's so confusing because it's like you play that slippery slope of like, okay, don't lie, you won't get in trouble. So it's like, that's our biggest thing with my son.
When they tell the truth, you're like, you.
Right. And like still not getting upset when they tell you the truth, because it's like, you still went to that. Okay. But then it's also being like, okay, well, at least you were open enough to come to me and tell me these things. So it's like, it's such a fine line. And again, you really don't understand those types of things until you become a parent. Because I remember when I was, 16, 18, and I was like, my kids will be in a bed before this time. Who would let their children do this? And why would people do this to their kids? And da-da-da-da. And now that I have kids, I'm like, stay up late.
Yeah.
Fall out where you show out. Okay. Do you, boo-boo. As long as you don't bother me, I'm good. So it's like, but it's perspective, and life changes. And that's why I always say, like, life does play a full circle. Always. Because you don't understand it until you're in it. And so many people do not understand that. So some people prejudge and pre-think until you're in that situation. You cannot say what you will or will not do until that pressure is placed upon you. Even when I tell you all the time, right? Yeah, like people can. Why do you think you have so many people who have like concealed weapon licenses? They get in situations and they shoot themselves, or they shoot an innocent person, because it doesn't matter how many times you went to a gun range. It doesn't matter how many times you practice and all these things. When you are caught in that moment, you don't know how to react. You don't know what to do. Your safety goes out the window. That adrenaline's like a drug. Your adrenaline is pumping and you doing something completely different. You looking stupid and you're like, oh, I'm about to die. All because you freaked out. So, have you ever been in that position where you thought you knew how you would react to something? Yeah. When? You at the house fire? Stop. Wait, I still make fun of her to this day. I'm sorry. I think I've told this story before, but since she's here, I'm gonna tell it again. Okay, let's see if I remember. The fire happens, obviously, get everybody out. We're all at the street. I'm on the phone, 911, cops come. I was like fire 13. Department comes. I'm just kidding. I was 15. Only thing she says, what are we gonna do? Where are we gonna live?
Listen, I didn't know about the insurance, that y'all had it paid and covered and everything. So I thought we were gonna be on the streets with my mother pregnant, with her about to go in labor. I thought we were gonna be dead.
She legit was about to go in labor. Like, I was afraid she was gonna go to labor right there. It was the one. It was crazy too, because she's such a not a freak out person like that. Like you rarely will see her cry or like, you know what I'm saying, react that way about anything. So in the middle of like my house is literally burning down. My pregnant wife is about to give birth on the side of the road. It's cold. She does that. I literally was like, I like giggled for a second. I'm like, baby, I got it. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it.
Because at that point, it's nothing else. Like you have to laugh in order to keep from crying. Sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
And that's like one of those moments where it's just like you gotta just laugh at it a little bit.
It was fun. I'll never not laugh at that. So what was the other situation? Do you mind sharing on air, or is there? You can tell the general feeling without telling the specific.
You got to re-ask the question because I kind of forgot.
Was there a situation where you thought you would react a certain way, and then you got in that situation and completely reacted a different way?
It was towards a guy, but like, it was where like we were mutual on not liking each other. So like, I was trying to break up with him, he was trying to break up with me, kind of thing. And so when he finally broke up with me, I kind of was like what? Like, because I was supposed to break up with you.
See, that's a girl thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a girl thing.
You just use that excuse so you can eat a bunch of chocolate and be sad. Didn't you?
No. For tomorrow. Are you going to give me chocolate?
Huh?
You bought me some last year.
I did?
Yeah, you're supposed
Who
to.
Did? I bought you some chocolate last year?
Yeah,
no.
You bought me this. I still have a picture.
I sent it to school, didn't I? Did I send it? Or
no, that was my birthday. That was really sweet, though.
I only did that because we were in a fight. I want to make up to you.
That's a known fact that all dads should buy their daughters stuff for Valentine's Day.
You got some Valentine's Day money?
Dollar Tree is popping right now with a bunch of dollars.
We already talked about that. Day. It ain't $1. It's $1.25 plus tax.
I got you. I got 25 cents for you.
You got a coupon?
Now, if Dollar Tree came out with coupons, they would be off the charts.
Over. It'd be over.
I'd be getting my groceries.
But then they'd up the price. They would up the price to $150 and then give you a coupon to make it $125
for 10 cents off.
You already know how that go.
I'm gonna give you a coupon for 10 cents off.
You already know how that whole thing goes.
It's a ripoff.
Facts.
But yeah, y'all. So we have a lot that we're going to be discussing today.
Man, if you guys have any questions for my daughter, wifey said, you don't even get me chocolates. If you don't get off this Instagram lying to people.
See, now you have to buy all the women.
Right, you
chocolates.
Let me see.
All the women.
Oh, babe, happy Mother's Day.
Oh my God. Do not start that again.
Happy Mother's
Day. Okay,
quick
quick story time. Was it 2 years ago? A year ago? Was it last Mother's Day or the year before that? It was
the year before.
So 2 Mother's Days ago. We're in the rental house. A lot have been going on. The babies are brand new. House just burned down, all of that, right? So I talked to my wife about it that morning when I was getting up with one of the babies, and I was like, man, happy Mother's Day, like joking around because they were screaming and acting crazy. So I hadn't said it again to her or like bought her anything because we had talked about, all this is going on, like it's not important to do that or whatever. So I said happy Mother's Day in the morning, like in a joking way with the babies, but then didn't like say it again or make a grand gesture. Tell me why my family comes over, right? My mom and my sister's best friend and all that. And I go to pick some kids up or something. And I get a text from my sister. You ain't say happy Mother's Day to your wife. Da, 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 da. I was like, what are you talking? I'm like, I knew you was mad about it. I was so irritated. So now randomly throughout the year, I just say happy Mother's Day. So I never
you gotta prepare yourself.
It's like the joke with what is that? The house in Roseville?
The Huntington?
In Cali?
Huh?
About the
not a model home?
Yes.
Oh yeah. The only argument are my wife and I don't argue. We're always on the same page pretty much about everything. And if we do have any kind of riff, we just talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So the only time they've ever seen us in a argument, which it really wasn't even that, we were just very passionate about our points and very irritated at the time.
Yeah.
She was saying that there was a model home we were going to go check out because we had to move. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's going to be great. So we pull up to this house and it's a regular ass house. Like, a model home is when they build that you go see. It was a regular house. So we leave there and I'm like, that definitely wasn't a model home. Here we go.
We were all in the back seat.
That wasn't a model home. Da, da, da. Well, I looked it up and it said, da, da, da. I go, all I'm saying is, that's not a model home. That's somebody's house. It's not a model home. So for a good 15, 20 minutes, we were going ham in the car and they're all back there like, oh my God.
Yeah, we were quiet. That was the quietest we've ever been.
Guess it's like we know not to say nothing.
Yeah.
We know better.
They do know
we
better.
know better.
Yeah, I'll never ever forget Mother's Day now. You were absolutely right, Jesse. Not
As you
even a
shouldn't.
want.
As you
No,
shouldn't.
and I think that's the okay. So let's talk about that for a second, ladies, especially someone who's getting into the dating world.
Not anymore. I'm single.
Oh, you stay single. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard
Except
in my
for
entire
like
life.
maybe 2 months.
Except for Killian Hayes.
Oh
If I meet Killian Hayes.
that man.
Killian Hayes.
So one thing I would
Oh, Pistons player. I forgot his name already.
Yeah. One thing I would advise you to do is if you care about something, always say you care about something. Don't ever be like, no, it's cool. And then when the guy doesn't do whatever you said was cool, JJ. It's my daughter Haley.
Bring your kid to work day. That's my baby.
Fam in the bill. I'm glad you came up here, man. It's perfect timing.
Let's bring your kid.
I was trying to give her some game on as a man, telling her, don't ever tell a man you don't care about something and he doesn't need to do it, because then when he doesn't do it and you get mad at him, now you look wild and crazy, and he looks dumb, and now we all messed up. And then they still say it's our fault. You should have known.
You should have known better.
Well, you should have said something.
Well, hold on, wait, guys. We gotta take our top of the hour song break real quick.
Oh, we got a potty.
Boom.
Hey,
we gotta take our top.
Make
of the
sure y'all come
break.
back. We're gonna take our little potty break. But we're about to dig deeper into this whole having my daughter here thing, and we're gonna bust it wide open for y'all. Not like that. That sounded weird. Yeah, that sounded weird. Take that. Y'all know what I meant.
We're gonna edit that one out.
You know what I meant.
All right, y'all. Don't touch it out. We'll be right back. It's the Good Time Show.
I turn it on, I make it rowdy, then carry on, but I'm not hiding. You grabbing me hard, cause you know what you found is biscuits, is gravy bag.
The Good Time Show.
If you didn't know, well, now you know.
Now you know, no.
Go, go, go.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
Come and see me.
Do, 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 do. I don't want nobody to come see me.
Well, come see me right here on the show. Don't pull up my house. Don't pull up nowhere else.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know where I live.
Pull up on me. Pull up on me.
Pull up on me.
Pull up on me.
Come and see me.
Yeah.
Can you beat me?
Yeah. Man. Welcome back, my good people. Today's a very special day for me. If you're just now tuning in.
And me too.
Whatever. I guess we should reintroduce ourselves.
Yes, I am your girl, the princess of all.
I'm Cujo Speaks.
And we got H Boogie in the house.
H Boogs.
I think that's the name that we came up with.
Until she find a better one, that's it.
She didn't not say yes. So I'm assuming
she didn't say no.
So it's okay.
My beautiful daughter Haley, my oldest.
Why you just hit her shoulder so hard?
Because I get to beat her in front of people and make it look like it's nice.
You like
she's strong.
No,
she works. She go to the gym with me.
David, y'all be at the gym lifting too much iron. Like y'all don't know how to control y'all like hands. He be slamming cabinets. I'm like, dog. Why do you have to slam?
I don't
so
slam
hard?
cabinets because look, I purchased this home and I'm very light with my cabinets and door. Ask her. I'd be mad.
You don't even be noticing you be slamming like.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Nah, I'm pretty
with
light with all mine. With the door, the one I punched because out of frustration on accident. Listen, that happened one time. It happened once.
On accident purpose.
On accident. On accidentally purpose.
On accident purpose.
I'm very nice to my cat. Okay, listen, y'all. This is why men have such hard times in the world because no matter what we do.
This is why y'all men need to stop pumping all this iron in the gym like y'all going to
like if
the
we
Metro
didn't pump iron, it'd be like, oh, you weak. You need to lift some weights. And then you go lift some weights. Oh, strong man, what you think you tough?
You stop lifting so much weight. I mean, like, it's nothing wrong with lifting, right? I mean, we all want to lift and we all want to look nice. But like, why is y'all necks getting that big? Like, where are we going with this? Y'all can't even fit shirts anymore because like your necks are so large.
I think that by the time that the men hit the veiny biceps, that's
that's a little much. I don't want to be vain. That's the show. Like, if you're gonna be a bodybuilder, you need that. But I've never understood why people who aren't bodybuilders get.
Me neither.
Yeah,
like, where's you going with this, star?
Right.
Star.
I can't remember who the comedian was. Was it Kevin Hart? Yep. He's like, why you big like this at T-Mobile?
It's my heart. Welcome to T-Mobile. Oh, another headset. Sorry, boss. That's true. My favorite skit.
Although, even though Kevin I say Hart. That, I'm not. Go ahead and say. I'm not gonna stop when I get that big.
Oh, I thought you were talking about how you
what? No. Oh yeah, no. Everybody knows about that. They know. Actually, I got some news for you. I think I'm lightening up on it. I'm allowing myself to watch for free Kevin Hart stuff. I'm not gonna go to the theater.
the other day, and I was like so not impressed. Like I was really morally like disgusted. Cat Williams. Now I never
His new
was.
stuff?
Yeah, I never was really a Cat Williams fan, anyways. Because I just always felt like he just had to like grown up a content for my age when I was younger and he was popping. So I did watch one like a while ago, and it was one during the time.
Was he wearing a green blazer?
And he had the flag in the background. It was like during election time. I think it was like right
I remember
around.
Pimp Chronicles is the one that he got real big off of, which was dope.
Okay, I can't remember. But it was on
Cryptic
Netflix, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of funny. Whatever. So then the new one came out, and me and David was at home. We were like, okay, let's watch this one. We fast forwarded through like half of it because like I don't like comedians, and this is just my personal opinion, to each his own. I don't like comedians who spend a lot of time on sexualized jokes because I feel like after a while it's just like, okay, we laughed at it. Why do you keep going back to that like over perverted like? That's just not my scene. Like
there's a way to do it. You know, there's definitely a way to do it where it doesn't. Because too much perversion, I feel like anybody's gonna be like, all right, dog, that's, you know.
Exactly.
You're supposed to me, I like when people toe that line and they do things they say things that are suggestive.
Yeah.
So they make some people might miss it. You know what I mean? Like, I like that kind of.
Like, even with Kevin Hart, don't get me wrong, I like Kevin Hart, but sometimes his jokes can go in the perverted realm a little bit too long, and it's like, okay, Kevin, you gotta like, come on, I don't want to keep hearing that. Look at you doing the Kevin.
That's
I did watch
hilarious.
Kevin Hart, but yeah, so that's one that I watched.
I think that's definitely one of those career fields that are lacking. Do you y'all even?
You guys
your
even
generation have any comedians?
Yeah, there's one. He's on TikTok. I forgot his name, but he's hilarious on TikTok.
Is he funny on TikTok or is he funny in real life?
He's on Wild 'N Out. He was on Wild 'N Out with
Zendaya.
No, he was with Zendaya and his wife.
Oh,
got one episode.
I think I know who you're talking about. Hold on.
The one episode in season 3. Back
I
in
hate to Google this, but I'm gonna put Playboy on
it'll pop up. Is it Mikey Day?
He's not dating her.
She was on the episode.
Yeah, she was on that.
I like to feel like I'm in touch with the younger generation's things, but sometimes I'm just like, I mean, TikTok itself is definitely changing our world. Like your generation.
Yeah, he is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
he is pretty funny. I do like him on Wild 'N Out.
Have you been watching his stand up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've seen it.
He's so
he
was
funny.
See, that's the bridge that I'm trying to get a lot of these TikTok characters to make, because you can be funny in 15, 30 seconds, but can you really do a stand-up show and make people laugh?
Right.
That's a big difference. Because a lot of these TikTokers can't host a room.
That's like Vine, though. A lot of them people that were huge on Vine, making those quick, you know, whatever many second videos they were and blew up, tried to go into comedian or comedy and movies and all, and it didn't translate.
That's true too.
But it is what it is. So who are you guys? What's your generation's? How do I even ask this question? So like me growing up, musically, I had Michael Jackson. I had, you know, people like that. Who's your generation's like big stars that you guys all are like? Like pretty much everybody was like, oh, Michael Jackson's the jam. And you know what I'm saying? We all, there's one or a couple people at every generation, like everybody in that generation is like, that's the guy.
I feel like everybody's hopping on the bandwagon of Rihanna. I feel like
But
that's
she's art. I think she counts
she's
for
our, like generation, like younger, like you guys' age,
Right.
maybe.
I think they're still wrapped in the art
I think
rates,
we're
really.
really going in for the old school stuff.
Now, is that because I've shown you these people, or like your friends and stuff too are all in the same, like those people too?
Some of my friends are, not a lot though.
Yeah.
I think
Like Olivia, what do we call her?
Rodrigo.
No,
Yeah.
She's not popping.
no, I wouldn't say she would. I would say probably like is Ice Spice your guys' generation?
No.
Yeah, Ice Spice.
Definitely not.
I'm sorry, it's Miss
But I do
Miss
love
Spice.
Miss Spice.
I mean,
I do like.
Ice
you thought I was
Spice.
feeling you?
A much. I like the other song.
Jason
in
C.
her mood, in my
Jason
mood or
C, what do you
something
think
like
about
that.
Ice Spice, man?
I think she's She's nice. I've heard like 2 of her songs. I like
Naomi's
her.
in love with Ice
she's
Spice.
there.
Yeah, I haven't heard any more of her songs. Only heard the 2.
See,
And
that's
I
a
like
problem.
both.
I don't like and this is just my opinion. This is not a diss on anybody who does this type of music. Because Jason, we know a lot of people that do this.
I agree with him.
Yeah, she looks like Annie, like a black Annie.
It's the orange fro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what
I
gives
don't
it
think
anybody.
so. For me, drill, or at least a lot of the people I hear in the drill style rapping, it doesn't require bars at all to me. Just the way the delivery is and the cadence is, it enables you to not say much and not have to say much because the beat's going to carry you. The delivery of how you're doing it is going to carry you versus you actually saying anything. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with that 100%.
So I think there's a few songs in that genre that I do love, but it was when they didn't do it like regular drill. You know what I'm saying? It was some sort of switch up in how the delivery was, and there was actual bars or a story or whatnot. So it's just not for me. I know a lot of people love it, but yeah, Jason's a real spitter though. He's a real lyrical
I
individual.
bet you
So
he got bars better than me.
I don't know.
Let's go bar for bar, Jay. Let's
Made
see
in the
what you
Mitten
got.
Delis in the building. Hey, we need to get y'all on here, and we need to. When is your opening so we can show up and show out for you? Huh?
Show up and show
Show up and show out.
Let's see who else. Ariana Grande would be definitely our generation because let me see.
Facts.
And then I feel like a lot of people going back to what she just said about Rihanna. I heard that some people didn't like her performance because it was class, and people are not used to women performing and not getting naked. So the fact that she was fully clothed and the fact that she was covered, so you couldn't tell if she was pregnant or if she really wasn't pregnant without her insinuating by rubbing her belly. I feel like that's the part that like people didn't like about her performance because it wasn't risky. Think about every other female that has performed. Somebody posted it was like, I think Rihanna's the first woman who hasn't gotten naked on Super Bowl. When you think about Mary J. Blige, although she's a legend, she had on some short shorts. You talking about Janet when her tit popped out? Ooh.
I'm talking about J-Lo and Shakira.
Oh god, that was the best.
There was so much booty on that screen. Oh, it was great.
Because unfortunately, sex sells. You know what I'm saying? So,
and people were. I mean, I think at the end of the day, with this performance, I think because it's been so long since she's done a show for one, and she's a very attractive sexual woman. All the men on the planet and some women were like, I'm about to see Rihanna get down post baby. Like, obviously nobody knew she was pregnant, so they were thinking she was about to come out and throw a freak show. And I said that immediately as soon as she started rubbing her belly and we noticed that she was pregnant. I told my wife, I was like, I guarantee you tomorrow there will be a bunch of people that are going to be real mad that she wasn't dancing and throwing it around and and I was right. I mean,
she wasn't getting bucky naked.
I don't know, I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was as good as last year's. Last year's was definitely good.
Yeah.
What was last year?
That was the Dre and it's gonna be hard to top that.
Yeah, you
though.
Can't really top them. I mean, they've been.
They done did some things. I thought it was great. I feel like
for her being the first show in 7 years. First of all, 7 years is a long time.
Very long time.
To take off of any craft, especially physical wise, like to be able to get up there and dance and move and walk. First of all, it may not look like she did a lot of moves or whatnot, but nobody can tell me that they can walk that stage for that amount of time that she did and voice not crack, go up and down and still sing and move and walk and still know how to breathe. Stop playing.
There's a lot of people too that are conspiracy theorists and believe that it was all pre-taped or she was.
It was definitely not pre-taped.
I had to explain to Courtney that she's not actually singing. She shouldn't have a mic in it sound. I'm like, yeah, it's a backtrack. Like,
it's a backtrack, but it was still live.
There's a clear difference. You can tell a clear difference between somebody singing live and somebody
Yeah, you could hear her breathe. Like when she was up in the air, she was definitely lip syncing.
Oh yeah.
But look how high in the air she was on that dang thing.
When she at the end of it, when she was looking up at the fireworks, I'm like, dog, bad idea.
Yeah.
You know,
but she was harnessed. I did see somebody come.
Was she?
Yeah,
though?
somebody
Okay.
came up there and like unharnessed her and then harnessed her back up like one of the dancers.
Oh, okay.
So they did harness her.
Which I don't know why I didn't assume that. Well, my dumb self. I'm sitting there like, ooh, that's dangerous. And she got a baby on board. What is she thinking?
Now, see, my brain just went real bad because there was two things. One, have y'all seen Wakanda?
Yeah,
the new one.
No.
Okay, so when she was going up, the first thought was, what if she the thing like threw up in the air and then like sucked her up like the thing on Wakanda, like the little plane. I was like, oh, they should have did that. But then when I found out she was pregnant, I was like, dang, if she would have fell, the baby would have like popped out somewhere. Like, bro, that's
fumble. You say all the players fumble.
Then I was like, okay, I need to know. But that's besides the fact.
Man, the terrible part about human nature is I was waiting for it to fall. I was waiting for something terrible to happen and it snap and fall.
Because that was high. That was very high. And
high.
for people to say that her performance was basic, I mean, that like the lights, the way she was like shine bright like a diamond. I mean, she had the lights and the dancers were up there like dancing on top. Like, I thought it was dope. First of all, let's go back down the list because I remember a performance that was just god awful
at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, at the Super Bowl.
Who was there? It was a rock band, wasn't it? And it was super boring.
Oh my goodness! Oh, we're about to pull it up. All right.
I just want to know
I think
what
Lady Gaga was terrible that year.
Hers.
See, you don't even remember it. That means it was bad.
I only remember the very sensationalized ones.
Katy Perry, Bruno Mars. Yeah, Lady
Bruno
Gaga
was brilliant. I remember Bruno's was really good.
Yeah,
I loved it
because he did it with Beyonce and Coldplay.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Kid. I feel like that just was no.
The one was
Justin
that not the one with
good.
Janet?
No, that's not the one with Janet.
He's done it twice.
Yeah, they brought him back. They brought him back, but not Janet.
Because his teddy wasn't out.
But he pulled hers out.
Well, she should have a stronger uniform. It seems to me
that was
still to this day, I don't understand that thing. How that even happened? Because it seemed to me like that was planned, right? Like you don't just walk up to somebody and so it seemed like that was a planned thing, but her wardrobe malfunctioned. It wasn't supposed to pop the whole thing off, apparently. I would think.
I don't really know.
I don't even know if have they ever talked about that, really? Like,
no one has ever done an interview.
I think I've heard like somebody asked him in an interview or somebody asked her, but I don't think they've ever.
Or did like his zipper or something get caught on her, and when he pulled it, snatched it? Because the way she looked down, like. I don't know if that was really were hers.
To me, it looked hers.
But why only rip one and not both? Like if we gonna
she probably told him this is my bigger one. It hangs
like if
lower.
We gonna plan it. If you gonna have them both out, like do both, but not like one. I don't. Maybe it wasn't. Now we gotta research that.
I'm gonna aim high, and I'm gonna try to get a quote from JT.
Oh, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, Bad Bunny, J Balvin. I don't know. The Weeknd. I feel like his was okay. I feel like his because he came up with that face wrap.
Terrible.
That was terrible. Nobody talked about that.
I feel like that ruined his career. Personally,
I feel like when he did that whole accident and act like he did surgery on his face, ruined his career.
I stopped listening to him after that happened. I was like, okay, now he's getting.
It was 2 years, not last year, the year before. Yeah, it was the year before.
We were living in. I think it was one of the Colfax. I do. It was super strange.
Yeah, he did the whole he acted like he was in a car crash and wrapped his whole face in ace bandages, all for the
He's
performance.
Trying to be Michael. I feel like somebody did an interview with him and he said
try to be Michael. Like you have to just be put in that box. Like Chris Brown didn't try to be Michael. He just was so good at dancing and emulating that like he just was placed into that box.
I truly feel like The Weeknd is aiming to be Michael.
And that's where he's gonna continue.
Factory.
Like that's like somebody being like, I'm trying to become Michael Jordan. Like, oh, you're gonna suck. Don't even say that. Don't automatically put yourself there. Let other people say it, but like
Right.
you don't say you're going to become this. Speaking of titles and greatnesses, what do you think about LeBron beating Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Just think of that. It's a heavy thing because there's a lot of ways you can think about it. The one perspective I saw that I think I agree with most is that Mike played 13 seasons, right? I forget what somebody did the math on it, right? What he averaged and what LeBron averages over 13 years, over 20 years. So the fact of the matter is, in every generation, the game is different. If Mike played in today's game where it's easier to score, they call more fouls, there's, you know what I mean? I think he would have blown that out of the water a long time ago. If LeBron played in the era of the Bad Boys or any of those other teams where you were allowed to basically tackle folks on the court, he would have had a lot harder of a time. But I will say LeBron is a physical specimen. So if he was made to use his power and strength, I think he would, you know what I mean? So I'm a fan of not trying to do that whole who's the greatest of all time thing, because you really can't do that.
Yeah,
there's different
to
circumstances. There's far different circumstances. Now
he's not a better player, and this is where like I feel like the world misleads, right? And especially the younger generation. Just because he has the most points doesn't mean that he was the better player or had the most rings. Because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar only lost one championship game in his whole
Mike lost
career.
none.
Exactly. So that doesn't mean that he's
so
a better
what's the
player.
criteria?
That means that he just took more shots.
Right.
Does that make you a great player?
Okay. No. How about this though? Kareem did it without 3-pointers.
That's what I thought. There was no 3-point line.
It wasn't. So I mean, if there's a lot of ways to break it. Like everything on the world and on the planet, there's a million different ways to break it down, and it all depends on, for one, perspective, like I always say, and for two, what's the criteria. So you can't just say a generalized who's the best of all time. Okay, what do you mean? Are you talking by stats? Are you talking by influence in the locker room? Are you talking about, you know what I mean? Like, you got to tell me specifically what aspect you're trying to put pound for pound, because you can't just, that's like being like, who's the best radio host in the world? Well, I mean, I'm going to say me. What are we talking about, though? Are we talking about listeners? Are we talking about time on air? Are we talking about, you got to do a criteria. You can't just generalize.
Yeah, that's true.
I hate generalization.
That's very true. That's my favorite thing.
I can't stand it.
In general. I'm just speaking in general.
Nah.
Because in general, you just got to cover all the bases. In general.
You know what?
You never know what you might come across, so you have to prepare.
In general.
Exactly.
Generally speaking. That don't work. That doesn't work for me.
Okay, so I want to ask, let me get it together first. Kids in your grade, do you guys still do Valentine's Day parties in like middle school, high school?
No, we don't.
Do they have like a Valentine's Day dance anymore? None of that?
So that was actually being ran through the student assembly, because I'm involved with the school, so I'm in student assembly, NHS.
Okay.
Everything.
My baby's smart.
I get in.
I
get in with the details.
So proud of my baby.
So one of the things in student assembly that we were talking about is the Valentine's dance. But because there's prom coming up and graduation, they were like, well, people are already buying their prom outfits, so they're already spending money on that. So I add extra money to have this dance that's probably not even going to be a big hit for the school.
But what about the kids that's not going to prom? Like the underclassmen? Yeah, like the freshmen, the juniors, like you still don't
sucks to suck.
Yeah.
So did you guys at least have homecoming?
Yeah, we had homecoming.
And it was lame.
Yeah, that's why they didn't want to do it this year, or a Valentine's Day.
I think if you guys were at a school, for one, that had more kids, and like your school was into that kind of thing, like homecoming was huge at that school. Or, like my school, it was decent. I think we had a good turnout at every one of our dances, so we did stuff like that often. But for the school to spend money to put one of those things on, and for no reason, I think I'd be down.
Yeah, our school is also very divided, and it's racial concept.
Yeah.
Seems like they need a little bit of me up in there to spruce it up.
It's more of us than
Let's break.
We're the majority at that
no,
school.
but I'm saying we need to break up the bylaws because those types of things are unfair. Like I remember the school that I went to. I did cheer since I was in like middle school, and then I did the dance team. And cheer and dance are like two completely different things, but there was never a step team. So I created a step team at my high school. Like I had to write all the bylaws, like the tryouts, auditions, and I had to submit it to like the athletic director, and they approved it. But the only thing was when I created it, I was a senior. So by the year that I graduated, it didn't get carried on because I wasn't a student. But I just felt like people, like kids, needed a place to go and still be able to dance and step and not have any like requirements and all this kind of stuff, because I was on the cheer team for years, and I mean, if you didn't get this down by that week, then you couldn't sit out. You had to sit out for this competition, and then whoever got this, then they were going in competition, and it was just like, I'm not being in those beauty pageants type of thing. No, I'm gonna create my own lane for people like me who just want to dance and have fun and be involved in the sport. We used to perform at like our pep rallies and our basketball games, but that's because I also created the whole thing for us too, and I would go petition.
Like, that's because I created the school, and I was the director. I was the principal.
To the basketball coaches, like, listen, nobody's doing anything during your games. Let us come and like cheer during your games and all that kind of stuff. But really cool. It takes that initiative because some of these schools' bylaws are so strict and old and backdated. Like they don't care about the kids. So I feel like if they made the Valentine's Day parties actually fun with good DJs, then the kids would want to go. But no one wants to go to a Valentine's Day dance when they're playing like old songs that none of the kids know. It's like
that's what they were telling. Even from like you guys' first year, you were saying like the music they played at homecoming was like so lame.
Because kids these days, all they want to do is twerk, and they think there's a crap when they do it, and it's like, okay, well,
she don't really say crap. She be saying it.
They think they the stuffed muffins.
They think they the Snicker Fritz.
Yeah, but that's all they do is twerk, and they're up on and all over guys. Right. Nobody wants to see that. So now, that's why people don't go.
As much as I don't like to toot my own horn, I think that outlook that she has is definitely from my wife and I raising them how we raised them. Because if we didn't raise her like that, she'd be one of them twerking along with everybody else.
Yeah.
And I guess I can't say that because I'm sure the parents whose kids are in school twerking didn't try to make them twerk. But let me just say,
they failed.
Right. Let me just say on air, and for all these people, since I bashed you so much on air, I'm very proud that you have the perspective you have and the head on the shoulder that you have now.
But no, so I agree with her on that perspective because I was also one of those kids, and I'm still one of those people.
Twerking on the headlights?
No. Only with my wretched friends.
Let's go.
But majority of the time, when I go to a party or I'm out, I want to dance. I want to have fun. So I was that kid in high school that was doing the cat daddy and the nay and all that stuff and having fun at the parties. And during our time, because people made dance music and actual dance moves, that's what we did. But now in this day and era, this is not a dance move from TikTok. Like you can't be at a party like these. Like that's not a like me. Okay, so me and my sister cousin. I call her my sister cousin because she's like my sister, but she's my cousin. We were dancers in high school, so every time a new like TikTok dance move comes out, we're like watching them. We're like, "Where's the 8 count? Where is the 8 count? Because what are you doing? It's like a 1, 2, bop, 3, 4, bop. Like no, as dancers, everybody know it's an 8 count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Like
I don't apply to
TikTok. Know where these moves are coming from.
The one that made me disassociate with any kind of TikTok dance was the little throw it back thing.
All the
yeah. I'm like, what is
they're trying to do this new version of the stanky leg.
Oh my no, it's the perky dance.
Man,
the perky dance. Have you heard the perky
right.
dance, right?
Dance?
You ever
you
heard?
pull up to the party if I get up.
Did you see Travis Kelce hit the look? He did like this, but he was doing the perky dance.
See, I don't like that song because
I only like it because of dance.
It promotes drugs.
I only like it purely because
I saw somebody singing that, and they were talking about mellies for the kids. Like, how do you pull up to the club and forget the perks? And like they was had mellies and had their kids taking the mellies like perks and out of perks, and the kid was like going to sleep. And I'm like, okay, that is not cute.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you, but Y&J to me is a comedy rapper. He calls himself the Coochie Man.
That's who that is.
So I don't take anything he
okay.
raps about or says seriously when it's any of those songs. And Jack Funny 313 from Detroit, one of the funniest dudes I've ever seen on Instagram. He did one doing the perky, which is now the perky dance. And he's so hilarious doing it, and all these celebrities picked it up, and it went national. And to me, it's funny. I like the beat to that song. It's just it's hilarious.
The beat is nice. I just hate the
message.
Part.
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly.
I just perked them. Like that means like you're getting high. That means like almost overdose.
Perk 60. I just popped 2 perk 30s. Perk dance.
I just cannot get with that.
He's
it just
so funny to me though. I don't even care what he's saying.
It makes me upset every time I see that on my phone. I'm like I'm scrolling past it because I don't know. Maybe because my mom worked in like substance abuse for like a real long time. So just hearing that when someone's like taking drugs, like
I mean, you gotta realize too. Like I'm one of the leaders in this recovery group now as a co-chair. So obviously I'm not gonna like promote any kind of drug use. But that song to me is hilarious.
No,
that's just
is funny.
Okay, I had that same feeling with Waukesha, a Moneybagg Yo song.
I didn't like that song either.
I hated that song
because
it was legitimately a love song.
Yeah, and why would you just trash it like that?
Legit a love song to drugs.
Okay, huh?
She said a little Waukesha, like, do you love me? Do you love me not? That's about lean.
Oh yeah, I know that. I thought you were talking about the original song was about drugs. I was like, wait a minute. The original
without you, it could be. She could have been fiending.
It's that song, and then it was another song that he remade, and I think that might have been it. I don't know.
It probably was. I've been on that kick a lot lately, trying to peep them on game with how all these songs. We were in the car, me and Naomi were in the car dropping Leo off yesterday, and every song that came on the radio from the whole ride was all remix. And I'm like, this is a remake. This is a remake. Yeah, I did that with you too. I made her listen to the originals.
It's funny because when I was growing up, my dad could point out all of the remakes. Now that I'm growing up, I can point out all of the remakes.
And you know the really funny thing about that, not to cut you off, they're the same song.
Oh yeah, even Blurred Lines.
All of them. Like, which one was the? Was it I don't want to know? I think it was that one.
Oh yeah, with The Weeknd.
I played the original, and there's another one. She's like, "Oh, is the original this song?" And I was like, "Nah, that's a remake too."
First of all, can we take 21 Savage back when he was captive? I'm sorry.
Ouch.
I don't know. This was like, I'm sorry to say that.
When he got deported?
Oh, yes.
21 Savage is from, was it UK,
Britain,
right?
Somewhere.
Yeah,
but they had him in
British.
ICE. He was in ISIS. And he needed to go back in ICE because I think they had him on ICE for too long and he froze because these raps that he is putting out.
21.
Like,
I've never been a fan. And that's the problem. So, luckily for me,
I love 21 Savage.
I never did. But you got to think, I'm a fan of lyricism and all that. So, none of these cats.
No, he was. On one of his songs, he said, one right now he just a rat. One day he gonna be a mouse or something like that.
Oh, that's so deep. Dropping
right
ball.
Now we call him a rat. One day he gonna be a mouse.
Dropping
like
ball.
That was real bars.
Negative. Oh God, no.
But no, some of his songs, I mean, they at least had like a good beat to it or something. But now it's just like a lot of it's just okay. So on Amazon, y'all know how it says like rap rotations, and this is how I know I'm getting real old.
I haven't listened to their music stage.
They have different categories, and at one point in time, I knew a lot of the songs that would just like be filtering on there. I was like, oh, okay, this is about another. I tried the other day, and I was just like, I gotta turn this off. I gotta go back to my old school playlist because what am I listening to? Like, I used to like what's his name? Never Been Broke NBA. Wild Boy,
National Basketball Association.
Yeah, him.
Young man.
Some of his songs are I just
can't do it.
I do not like rappers. This goes for anybody. I don't care if it's rap or if it's female or if it's male. I don't like people who over sexualize songs because I feel like there are so many more words and so many more things that you could be talking about in a song, insinuating that you don't have to be that vulgar.
I don't know if you've heard this song, but if that's your stance in life, you're gonna hate this one.
What?
I forget what dude's name is, but it's a song called Lizzo. Have you heard it?
No, I haven't heard that.
She's got a little bit of stomach, but that's okay. She gonna let a real eat out.
What?
It's the nastiest song.
Oh
It
my
is
God!
the-
Who's
talk
that
about
by?
just type in Lizzo song. What's his name? Oh man. Type in who sings the song called Lizzo. I forget what his name is.
Moonwalker.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, Mooney Walker.
Where is it? Nope, that shit hurts. Yeah, you got to listen to that song.
But see, I don't like. Okay, like you said, back in the day, even in movie scenes, you know, and going back, I'm gonna piggyback off of that. People just insinuated things, and it's like when you got older, you start to know, oh my gosh, they were really talking about this, or they were really talking about that, because they made it subtle. They didn't make it over the top. And I feel like now in some songs, it's way over the top. And I feel like that's why people didn't like the movie You People. Did you watch that on Netflix?
Yeah, I did.
With Lauren London. I feel like
I
people
liked
didn't like that movie because it wasn't over sexualized. There wasn't any sex scenes between her and Jonah Hill. So people kept saying, oh, I felt like their relationship was distant. Why? Because they didn't show
Because you
them.
ain't see him bumping uglies?
Thank you. Because you didn't see them hugging and kissing 24/7 or sex scenes. Like, because I feel like in some movies, sex scenes are
Too much.
Too much. It's uncalled for.
TV. Like,
Oh, Euphoria?
Euphoria.
Oh, I remember you
All
talking about
American
Euphoria.
got real bad to where every episode there was like 2 or 3 sex scenes.
It was.
But if you think about it too, though, like as much as we like to say that this era is nastier and it's sexualized, if you listen to some of the old school stuff that we was listening to and really listen to it.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like,
you have to really listen
no,
to
there's
it
a
in
lot
order. But
there's
as
a lot
kid,
of music.
As a kid, you
We
don't
didn't get
understand
it.
it. But that's what I'm saying.
But there's a lot of pop, step, pop, step.
I mean,
baby.
that's true. But that wouldn't be a classic though.
There's a lot of.
That's a party.
I could think of some. Every time I close my eyes, I wake up feeling so horny.
Okay, but
there's a lot tonight. I need
but they
your
are. But they weren't.
your...
But think about the wordplay. They're not using vulgar words. Oh,
excluding Uncle Luke, because he made a living off of that.
The other day, and I mean, this man disrespected women so bad. I was so upset because the beat was such a good beat, and it was a new song that I hadn't heard. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a bop. Let's listen to it. And he was just like, "Oh, shut up! I'm gonna beat you up and send you out the house." And da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what women would be listening to this just bopping? Like, yeah.
Look at one of his shows, and I bet you they all like, oh, you can beat my ass anytime. I drink your sweat water.
And I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's so like heartbreaking. Even but see, I think the ballads confused people back in the day because this girl did a post and she was like, people have to stop. Oh my gosh, all I see these words that are just popping out at the screen. I didn't even get a chance to read the first line. Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's what it was. So sorry. It came on and I was bopping. I was like, okay.
But do you see
and then
how aggressive this is? The songs back in the day would never be this aggressive.
Trust.
The only person that was aggressive was Teddy Pendergrass.
He
said, "Turn him off!
Turn him off!"
That's it.
But even that, like you said, it's suggestive. Yes, there was a bunch of I can't remember what it was, but it was one of those oh, we say this music's bad, but we was listening to it and it flashed to a song, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that song was so bad, and not even suggestively bad.
But
it was
I don't mind songs that are subliminally bad because
no, but there's some very clear cut. I'm sure there's a list.
There are
in our generation.
People are using Maxwell's "Pretty Wings" as a wedding song, and this girl was like, "Let me break down the lyrics to y'all. Please stop singing this song.
Please don't do that."
But no, you're not listening to the words. You're just hearing the melody.
Yeah.
Pretty wings, y'all.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, he talks about how you broke my heart. You made me cry.
Right.
So I feel like back then, no one was paying attention to the lyrics because the melody was so good and it was so calming. Now it's just boom, boom, chick. Get this, and it's just no.
See, I taught my girls well though. They like good, real good R&B.
Yeah, because I want to know. And my dad, asked this question like jokingly, and it's like literally the honest to God truth. With this younger generation, like, what do y'all play for? Like, oh, we're trying to be romantic, and I like this girl music. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, are you playing? Oh, I just popped the perks in. Hey girl, you want to sit on the couch? Like, it's like that's not a. You want to come over and watch a movie, and we like chilling. You playing
watch
that?
me do my dance, girl.
I took it to Gucci World. Like, no, you cannot be playing that while you're trying to like tell this girl I like you. Like back then we had like Tanisha Kelly and Sammy and Sierra to be like, oh, I'm gonna send you this love song so you know that I like you. What do y'all send for people to say I like you?
We don't.
We don't do that.
No. I'm so serious.
Yeah.
So no one knows that people like each other.
No,
Like,
so we have an hour left, right? I really want you to be the ambassador of your age range. And like, because there's a lot of things that we as older folks, as parents, I feel like we can learn from the younger generation and you. And I feel like people watching that could be your age, be like, tell them, girl, tell them everything we've been wanting to say. So that is a great starting question. Like, how do y'all even?
So let me start. The first time that I sent a guy something like a song, he thought it was weird. He thought it was corny, and so it made me feel stupid. So it was like,
would you send him? You remember?
It was a really romantic song, and it was like telling basically how I felt about him.
Now, what song? Do you remember what song?
No, I don't.
Because I was gonna say I could have judged your song.
Like, you know what song it was? You know why he thought I was feeling you?
Right, that's what you said to people nowadays.
What do you mean it wasn't romantic?
This is like 3 years ago. I'm talking about 3 years ago.
Way back in the day.
But yeah, back in my day.
Miley Cyrus, you get the
that
best.
was back when you were in the country back then. Was it a country song?
Probably. I can't remember. But
genre.
Yeah, kids don't really do that these days. They don't send the song to let them know how they feel. It's just usually like, hey, I like you. Can I get your number? And then the girl will
no, they ain't asking for numbers. They asking for
they're asking, social media.
Let me get your snap.
If they ask you for your number, that's out. Which may seem really weird, but if they ask for your number, you know that they're really into you.
See, I was different back in my day. Like I was, and to this day, I'm a straightforward girl. I'm a straight sharp shooter. Okay, if I like you, hey, I like you. Like,
hey, you.
Do you feel the same way? I'm gonna put a note on your door. Hey, you want to go on a date? You want to hang out? But people are so afraid to do that nowadays and it's just like, are you gonna play that back and forth?
I feel like that's the idea that society put into teenagers' heads. Is that the fact that getting rejected is this big deal, and so like it's like, no, I don't want to be rejected, so I'm just not going to do this and this.
I think that's cross generational though. I think that's a human thing. That's all of us have that fear of rejection or failure. I think what really screwed your generation up though, as far as like being able to take chances on stuff like that, is social media. People taking screenshots and put people on blast on social and stuff. They got whole Instagram pages at her school about people that fall asleep in school. Yeah. And they'll catch you lacking and post it on.
Why would you do that?
They think it's really funny.
The internet definitely ruined a lot for the way we used to be and the way we used to do things.
It's because a lot of these kids, and I hate to say it, they've never been punched in the face. Mm-hmm. They've never taken a real hit. So they say a lot of things, and they do a lot of things because they don't know what it feels like to get your head bashed in for talking about somebody. Because I mean, it's true. If you have that thought in the back of your mind, you wouldn't be so quick to talk about other people or put people on blast because you know what can come of that. These kids nowadays, like, they have no repercussions for trying to out somebody or make somebody look a certain way, and it's just like, what's the purpose? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Your generation is wild.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Is your generation talking about college still, or is everyone talking about being entrepreneurs, or this whole like, I'm going to be a social media creator?
That's, I think, the big thing right now. And then something else that I've really learned is that people are more into like the sports, so they're trying to be they're trying to get into a sport that they either haven't played and they just want to do it because, and so they think they're going to be successful at that and just like learn. So they're trying to get in the sports.
So they're thinking that by the sport can be their like meal ticket.
I think a lot more than in our generation, the kids these days think it's just easy to pick something up and be able to do it right away. I think that's a big difference.
That's a big misconception.
I hate to sound old and bash social media or the internet or any of that, but honestly, back in
my day,
no, I'm not doing it.
You said it.
In the early 90s. Oh no, there's no good way to lead in this.
It's really not.
When I was coming up, you didn't have I think the fear of being put on blast on social media stops this generation from being as authentic as they want to be. And that's why you're getting so many of these groups of young kids that are all acting like idiots, because that's the cool thing to do. And if you don't do that, there's a chance you're going to be outed on social media, or, you know what I'm saying, posted, or like, is that the threat that goes around school? I'm going to post you. I'm going to post this. I'm going to post that.
No, it's usually if you got a problem with somebody, they're gonna tell you that they want to beat you up, and then they don't do it. They're scared. Oh, blah blah blah. So now they're gonna clown you. That's when they'll clown you. Is if you're too scared to fight them because you said something that you weren't gonna do. So now no bite.
Now I saw barking, no bite.
You go, girl. Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
I
See,
ain't heard that in a minute.
that's my daughter. She said, "Leap, you feeling froggy? Sleep."
But I feel like that's another thing that these kids don't know how to. They say let's fight, but they're not really fighting. They bring in guns, and that's jacked up. Like, I'd rather see somebody scrapping it out and get the eyeball pulled out before you know you just start shooting, because at least you might only have one eye, but you're alive.
You may lose, but you live to fight another day.
That's
What
true.
movie? What movie is
That
that?
was Friday. Why wouldn't I know Friday?
Come on, Craig. Get up, Craig. Come on, Craig.
But that was a good lesson that he taught him.
Was.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
was.
Like, you can take the easy way out, but there's so much more behind just pulling a trigger. Like, you know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that. Like, there's so much that goes into it. But
Again, consequence. I feel like consequences in this generation aren't being handed out like they were back in ours.
no, they're not.
The kids get away with so much, and especially the whole gentle parenting movement. Do you know any kids whose parents are like gentle parenting people?
I know kids whose parents let them do whatever they want.
That's
what you're
basically-
But see, I don't know if that's just
Like, they don't tell them
parenting.
no. They get. I know one of your friends
See,
who
gentle
lives in
parent-
proximity
see,
to the
stop,
school.
Stop
I
coming
feel
for
like
gentle parenting like that. Gentle parenting is not telling your kids no.
because some people. Okay, there's a couple at. You know what? I'm not even, because I feel like they may put two and two. There's somebody I know who knows parents who openly say we don't tell our kids no. Like, we don't tell them no. And I'm like, what is that?
Oh yeah, no, that's
And I was trying to tell Courtney too. I'm like, I don't think it's to the extent of like they're running towards the stairs and about to fall down, and they're like, "Oh, don't do that, sweetheart!" Like, no, like, oh, no. How do you not? You know what I mean? Like, what
no,
is that gonna?
I completely agree with you. I don't know about that standpoint of gentle parenting.
Right.
But I do feel like sometimes gentle parenting can just be rewording something so that you're more gentle when it comes across. And I work on that, and I feel like all parents do
I
to
do
a certain
too.
extent. Because
Like the other day, I went in her room and was all mad because of the way she reacted to me, and I came across a lot more frustrated and authoritative as I wanted to. So I ended up texting her like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I approached that a little more aggressive than I wanted to." Yada yada yada. So I think that's on the gentler side. I feel like
that's gentle because
and
you're
I
being
think-
caring and thoughtful of their feelings.
right, and understanding that your kid is supposed to not feel beat down or whatever by you. So I think that was the idea when this gentle parenting thing probably started, was just adding a little bit of tenderness to your authoritativeness.
A love and tenderness.
But like with everything else in the world, some people are taking that, and you can tell. To me, you can tell by how kids these days, a lot of these kids act, that they've never been, backhanded properly.
They ain't never been slapped up before.
Haley has.
I mean, all my kids are.
I done hemmed her up a couple times.
kids on the floor.
In the rubber couple
Kids
times.
down. But I feel like to a certain extent, it just depends on what's in your comfort zone as a parent. You know, can you deal with the repercussions? People feel like parents like to be mean. Like I tell my son all the time, you think I like telling you no, you can't play your game? You know why? Because now you're about to be all up in my face and getting on my nerves. I want you to have your game, but you gotta listen. Like I don't know what else to tell you.
Man, okay, so, and I don't know if you've ever formulated this thought before, or if you'll have an answer to this, but I'm asking you honestly: do you have an opinion on how you think parents should do? I don't want to make it that general, like how parents should raise their kid. Do you have any advice for parents that, like, you and your generation? Because I know y'all be like, "Oh, my parents, oh my God, girl, mine too. I wish they were just da 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 da." Like, are there things that you have that conversation about for us that we can possibly learn from? Like, most of your friends think that parents do this and shouldn't, or da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I feel like the most big thing about parents, and not necessarily how they should treat their kids, but you know what my opinion is. I think that they should be more understanding and more like there for them, and like if they come to them about a certain situation, about what they did, and parents like down on, or like they're like no, you shouldn't have done that, try to be more understanding and push them to be better than what they just did, and help them learn that what they just did probably isn't right.
So let me ask you this though,
I like that.
and this isn't, I'm not talking just generally between you and I, because obviously I do have thoughts, but when you say understanding, what exactly are you wanting from the parent for it to be understanding? Because in a personal sense, there's been times where you've come to me and I'm understanding, I get what you're talking about, but I think the way I approach the conversation you don't like. And that's the part I think that needs to be explained a little bit to us, because when you just say you don't understand or you're not being understanding, it's hard for me to know what you mean. It's basically like, it's like a female being like, oh, you know, I don't care, whatever, we can eat whatever. But then you get Pizza Hut and she's like, why would you get Pizza Hut? Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? So I guess you have to define for me, or for us, or for all of us parents listening, what would it look like? What would understanding look like for you?
Between mine and your relationship, I think what goes for the most is the opinionated part about it. So the understanding doesn't come from how you feel about the situation. This is how I feel and how I'm coming to you about it. So I don't, not to like be any type of attitude or anything, but like I don't want your opinion. So,
and that's perfectly okay. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. And I think we've had this conversation before. So what she's explained to me before, and this is basically the same conversation, I agree with you. And that happens in general, especially in relationships, or between a woman and a man.
In relationships.
When you come to me with something, right, and you don't want my opinion on it, you just want to vent and talk to me about it, you got to start the conversation with that. Yeah. And that's in general with anybody. Because you can't,
I just want you to listen.
Right, like, hey, look, I'm going through something. I just want to talk it out with you. Like, I'm not looking for your opinion on it. I'm working through it. Like, can you please just listen and can we just talk about it?
Especially because the type of people that we are, we are solution-based people. We're fix-it people. So if you come to us with a problem, we automatically want to fix it or help you, work towards it. But sometimes you're just like, I just want to get it out. Like, I know how to fix it. I know how to do it, but it's still frustrating.
I have that same relationship with Grammy T, because I'll call her just to talk about something, or just to because that's my mom. I'm supposed to be able to come to you with anything. And then she'll give me her opinion or tell me what to do about it. I'm like, oh, no, I've already done that. It's not that kind of conversation. I was just calling you to talk about it. And then she gets frustrated because I don't do what she asked me to do or what she thought I should do. And now we end up fighting and not talking for days. And I feel like I've made that mistake with you more often than I'd like to admit, but I wasn't realizing, probably just like she wasn't realizing, that I wasn't coming to her for that. I don't need her to save me. I don't need her. I'm not looking for her advice. Yeah. I'm already having a hard enough time dealing with it myself and just need somebody I can talk to. But now when I hit her up like that, I'm like, I just want to run something by you real quick just to get it off my chest. Boom. Then if she gives me her opinion after that, she hears.
I feel like for teenagers, it's more easier said than done because with the whole "I want to vent to you," just quite kind of listen. It's hard for them to say that because you know how your parents are, and you know that they're gonna want to give their opinion. So,
but you can also say it in a joking manner. You could be like, "Linda, listen, okay,
right,
boom,"
right,
and just
right.
and like that, Linda, listen could be like, okay, that's our language of saying, okay,
Right.
I'm just listening.
And so, but also though, I think you have to. I think a lot of times in this kind of situation, people are very selfish because you want me to just listen, right? And you want me to understand that you don't want my opinion as a parent. But as a parent, depending on what you're telling me, if I know you're going down a path that I have advice that could help you, it's really going to be really hard for me to just sit there and listen to that. Or if you're going through some turmoil that I've experienced before and you seem like it's really bothering you, it's in my DNA to try to help you in that situation. But I understand that you don't always want that. So there may be a time later on in that week or later on in that day where you'd be willing to receive what I got to say. And I think that's the part that us parents and us adults that have relationships with younger folks need to realize. But they're also entitled to their time as well to process things before you bombard them with what you think.
And that's in all relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
And allowing people to still have their feelings, but just say, okay, you may understand that way, but from my experience, this is how that played out. Because I still want to share my experience because maybe my experience can give you a little insight. Okay, well, you did it and it happened that way.
But that's
okay,
what
I still
do.
Want to sometimes, in a lot of cases, people still have to experience it for them to get their outcome. So no matter how much you try to warn me and prevent me from doing this, I won't see it until I'm in that position.
Yeah.
I won't understand it until I'm there.
And I know part of my fault is when I'm talking to, especially you guys about something, I've been through a lot. There's a lot I haven't been through, but there's a lot I have. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me. Like my whole job, I feel like, and my whole purpose on this planet is to pass down the knowledge that I've gotten through all of these things I've been through so that people I love don't ever have to go through those. Mm-hmm. So it's incredibly hard to come to that realization that no matter what I say to you, you're going to go and do whatever you're going to do and you're going to figure it out. And you're going to call me one day and be like, dang, I should have listened to you. But that's not on me to stop you from doing certain things. All my job is just to tell you what I know.
But then it's a different type of gratification as a parent when they do.
I can't wait.
Because I do that to my parents now. I'll be calling them and I'll be like, I just want to apologize for the things I did when I was a kid because this kid here, and they're like, oh, okay. Or like I'm telling them about a situation. They're like, oh, really? Because, we used to deal with that with you.
I can't wait.
It's literally one of those things that's like the world's going in a circle. Mm-hmm. Like you're seeing the same thing.
We're growing. Us parents and any other young kids or young adults listening, you got to realize as well, I'm 37. My daughter's 16. Her older brothers are 17. We're 20 years apart. Whoop. But I'm still very young. And I'm still
debatable.
I am a baby. Compared to that's that's why your own ass just got hurt being sassy. You can't whip your hair like that no more, Odie.
I just almost broke my neck.
That's what you get. Instant karma. But y'all gotta realize, no, we don't think we know everything, but we know 20 years more than you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't go into your workplace and tell somebody that's been there for 20 years that's training you they don't know what they're doing or that they're outdated. You know what I mean?
I would.
But I know that I understand that relationship, though, because I was the same way. And I think the thing I've been really trying to work on lately and thinking about a lot is the fact that I used to be that age, and there's a very high chance that I was exactly like you. Very high chance. You like to think you weren't.
That's the part that's also kind of like frustrating for parents, because as parents, we were in you guys' positions before, so we're trying to tell you guys that, and nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that.
He's a fool. He said, I learned that a lot later in life when my parents used to say I was once your age. They really were.
See?
You thought they were just born.
You just thought they just popped out like
it's kind of
that.
like teachers. Like you never imagine a teacher was ever in school or like does things outside of school. I used to think my teachers like, because it's like it's weird to see your teachers in public doing, but you don't think that when you're a kid. You're like, ew, yeah. I saw such and such at the groceries. What are you doing here? Like, you think I'm doing? Don't you like eat at school?
I see so many of my teachers now that I'm grown in the out in the field, and I'm like, darn it, what was your name again? Like, would you remember me? I don't really know. And they're just doing regular things, drinking with me at the bar or something like that. Like,
oh yeah, that's one thing that's gonna trip you out when it happens.
I know.
One of my teachers came to our 10-year reunion and was like hitting on the girl. I'm like, that's weird. Then I was like, but we're 30, so why is that weird?
No, that's weird.
It's not though.
It is though.
Why?
Why would you date your student?
He's not your student. That's 10 years removed from being your student.
But it's still a 10-year gap. I don't know. What's the gap?
Ain't
between
Jay
you?
and Beyonce a 10-year gap
Nasty.
or more?
What's you and Courtney?
She robbing the cradle.
How many years?
Year and a half.
Shut up.
She was already walking when I was born. I'm just saying, I was born. She was walking around. That's kind of great.
No, it's that 10-year gap.
She
for
like
me,
him young, baby.
I can't do the 10-year gap. I just think that if you place the 10-year gap in real time, okay, because people always like to be like, oh, but when you're like 40 and 50, it's not a big deal.
Say that too.
Okay, think about kindergarten, okay, and then a 10-year gap. What's that, like 10th grade?
No. Kindergarten, yeah, you gave her the levy in 5th grade. 4th grade?
Oh, I'm talking year gap in like school wise.
Oh, but that doesn't equate to years of
year
age.
gap. Okay, so kindergarten and then
because
like
kindergarten would be 5, so think 15. So you're thinking kindergarten and
kindergarten 5,
sophomore year. Ew. Oh, God.
So, okay, a 10-year gap. Okay, even if we did kindergarten to 10, so that's 5. How 10? Wait, no, 10 years old. What grade are you in at 10?
4th, 5th grade.
4th. Okay, so a kindergartner dating a 4th, 5th year old. 4th, 5th grade.
5.
Right.
So then a 10-year gap in age would be 15. That means a sophomore. It's even a further gap than you thought.
Yeah, that's
thinking of it that way,
that's
it's
nasty.
gross.
Because you're dating someone whose mental is not even on the same playing field.
But you can't say that though. You can't say that though, because I've known.
Well, kindergarten, that's experience like a sophomore.
My daughter Leah just told me the other day, like a month ago or so, 2 months ago, that little girl so she was talking about her little boyfriend that she has. She's 6, right? She's in the backseat. Oh, I got a boyfriend, whatever. His name's Leo. He holds my hand, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's cute. She's like, he told me he loved me. And I was like, okay.
Sure.
And I was like,
love?
Do you love him too? And she was like, well, I think I do. And I was like, well, what's love? The explanation this little girl spit out of her mouth, I literally got like choked up. So I was like, that's beautiful. like I don't even think.
What was her?
She said, and not perfectly, but to the extent of it's when you're around somebody and you have butterflies in your tummy, and when they're not around you, all you want to do is be around them, and they this, that, and the other. Like the way she explained it. Listen, hold on, and I get it. I get you might not, and I don't fully believe that. Honestly, she knows and encompasses. Yeah. But for her to explain to me as a 6-year-old, and then nobody's told her or explained to her what love is, or nobody's broken this down to her.
Know that she
because I talked to her mom. Because I know.
Because some of the stuff that my kids come
the
home,
only place,
like, where'd you get that from?
Only place she would have heard is from another kid.
And that's what I'm saying. They learn from other kids.
She was legitimately talking to me. It was an in the flow conversation, and it wasn't like it was a rehearsal. I'm telling you. I
completely agree with you. These kids are definitely they're maturing more mentally than their age is at a faster rate than we were at their ages.
I did. Well, to me, it's nature versus nurture, right? And I think a mentality thing, like I would say Haley's above, in certain respects, she's above her age in some of the ways that she is. And me, I grew up with my brother who's 10 years older than me and hanging out with his friends in that group. So everybody all my life, oh, you got an old soul, you got an old soul. So if you're raised that way and you're given that maturity beyond your years, it's still always going to be kind of weird depending on what decade of life you're in. Like to me, once you pass like 30. I think the age gaps at that point upward kind of go away.
Yeah.
But if you're 30 dating a 20-year-old, like,
But see,
that's a little weird.
I still feel like the mentality of experiences have not met up yet. Because think about a person who's 40. They've experienced more than a person at 30. Not saying that at 30 you can't experience anything, but your mind process is probably onto something completely
You
different at
can't
40
generally
than 30.
say that.
And I mean, you can't generally
Because
say that.
by 30, I had already been to 2 wars. I had lived in like 3 or 4 different countries.
Exactly. So imagine dating someone who's 20 who haven't even been able to sign up for their first war.
Okay, time out. Let me back up. By the time I was 9 is when I moved to Michigan. By the time I was 9, I had lived in 2 different states, 3 different countries. I had been to 3 different schools. I had been da-da-da-da-da. So my wealth of knowledge through my experiences at 9 years old is higher than some people's are still today. There are people who have never left their hometown. And at 9 years old, I had already been to different countries, exposed to different languages, and moving. You know what I mean? So,
but do you
it's
see
all
how,
life
do you see how those life experiences continue to gap every year, though? So if you're 9, imagine somebody who's 1, still in the playground having experience. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's still a huge gap. Like when I see people who are dating people with like 20-year gaps, I'm like, dog, you might as well go date somebody.
Leonardo DiCaprio, isn't he in his 50s and his girlfriend?
Look at 19. All the Playboy bunnies.
19. Like 50 something.
Nasty.
I agree with you. I 100%
Nobody
agree with you.
likes soggy
and it gets
food.
even grosser when you have ew, bro. That's so gross to think about. It's even worse.
Why would you want to be with someone that's that wrinkle? Like, it's a difference if, like, you're progressively with them, but you cannot just say you're attracted to a person that's just old and wrinkly. You just can't.
I mean, I guess a young dude who's into culinary and really likes a cheese pull wouldn't mind.
You're into string cheese.
You're into Fermunda cheese.
I just think that's
I mean,
even
I think it's
for
grosser.
A young guy.
I think it's grosser. No, I think it's way grosser for an older dude to be dating a younger woman than it is a younger dude to be dating an older woman.
That's true.
Because it's ingrained in our society. Like, no matter what the situation is, if you're 10 years older than a female, that's always gonna be statutory to me. I don't care how old you are.
That's true. And it's looked at more on the better side if it's the guy dating the older woman.
If she was to tell me she was dating a 26-year-old versus my sons telling me they were dating a 27-year-old, I'd be like, yeah, boys, get it. Her, I'd be like, hell no.
Which is
tell that
fine.
grown
That's
man to come
standards.
over here and square up.
Is there a lot of double standards that goes on in your household? See, that's not right. It's not right.
Why? But why?
I tell you that all the time. You treat the boys the same way you treat the girls. If you're gonna be rough on the girl, be rough on the boy.
That way, yeah.
Dating. If they can't do something, she can't
wait a
do
minute.
it.
There
She
ain't
can't
that
do
many
it.
double standards. What do you mean?
My mom was just talking about how me and Naomi can't cuss in the house, and the boys
Because
are
you're
over here.
ladies.
No, but the boys
So?
are over here. The boys are over here talking. They were calling us names. Names I think you.
Okay.
Because you're sitting on the
So
couch.
for one, this is their mother saying they can't cuss and all that. I hear these little degenerates cussing all the time. Do I ever say anything to you about it?
No, but it's the fact that my mom tells us to stop cussing and then doesn't tell the boys to. That's the double standard.
I don't even think it's necessarily double standard. You have to realize, even though you're in the same grade, they're still 17. They're 1 year closer to being an adult than
It
you
don't
are.
matter.
They're grown
I'm 1
boys.
year closer to moving out. I'm moving
And
out at 17.
also, there's a
Wait, where are you
certain.
moving out? 17?
I'm going to college at 17.
Oh.
I think
See, look, she graduated on the
societally-
same level. See, so she's almost an adult
Okay,
too.
so here's the thing that
So let her cuss.
here's the thing that makes it worse for me. Why are you campaigning to be able to do what the boys do? You're not the boys, you're you. You want to cuss that bad that you want to bring it up that you're not
No,
allowed
I'm
to
not
cuss
saying
now?
that. No, that's not even the
Be a
point.
lady.
That's not even the point. Because I cuss.
They should be a
know.
gentleman.
Yeah, you.
They
yeah.
should be gentlemen and not cursing.
Nah.
I'm just saying the double standard
That's
It
the same
goes
thing with
all around.
spreading your legs. How women should not spread their legs.
That's very true.
Because
Yeah.
it's
And
different.
how to boys
Because
it's
it's
like, oh, you're a player.
So you
gotta
guys
have
are
that
so
girl.
now that I don't that part I agree with.
No.
Like I agree with that part. Like I've always been like, girl, you want to go do what you got to do, go do what you got to do. But I feel like there's more, like I said, consequences. There's less consequences for a man running around sticking his thing in whatever. For a woman,
no, it's more consequences.
how?
See, people don't understand this, right?
A man can't get pregnant.
Okay, but listen, this is where the system didn't system properly. Okay, a woman can only be pregnant once a year. A woman has to carry a baby for 9 months. So that means she can only get pregnant once a year, while men can get a different woman pregnant in 1 year. So why is there not birth control for men and not for women? Because they're the ones who can get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 girls pregnant in 1 year. We've seen it with Future and a whole bunch of other people. Why
Nicholas Cannon?
Okay, Nick Cannon. He's having babies back to back. I mean, the women are sharing. He got a whole hospital wing at this point. But why isn't birth control meant for the man and not for the woman? We can only produce one child a year.
You gotta ask Big Pharma that.
That just doesn't make sense. So when people say, "Oh, there's only repercussions for men because they only can stick," okay, yeah, unless it's on the other side.
See, at this point, I wish you had a daughter though, because I think that would change. I don't think you would be like, yeah, you can go, both of y'all can go do whatever.
No, I'm still on that way for my boys too.
I don't think you treat them equally. I think even though you're saying that, I don't think you would. And here's the thing about this conversation: you can never tell me you wouldn't because you don't have a daughter, and I can never say. You know what I mean?
You don't know that I wouldn't.
It's easy for you to say that until.
Okay, so are you saying that I wouldn't be as hard? I would be harder on my daughter and her sexual life than my son.
I think the equality that you're talking about right now, I think you'd have a different viewpoint if you had a baby girl.
But see, I'm not sure because for my sons, I don't want them just sleeping with anyone. Like
correct. Neither do I.
If I find out that he's just sleeping with a girl just to knock her off her checklist, because that's not the type of men that I want to raise. I want to raise respectable young men who care about a woman and her body and her mind and all those things that people are not teaching their children.
Right.
Which you should. But I feel like it still would be the double standard on my daughter.
See,
it would be love your body and do it because you want to, not because someone else wants to.
Here's the funny part about it too. When that comes to double standards and that conversation, she's bringing up an idea. The boys aren't even interested in sex. Don't even want to have sex. They're not even thinking about girls.
She's speaking on general of her whole generation, not just her.
No, we talking legit our household in this situation.
We are talking.
No, we talking our household. We talk about
this
the
is not
Bergen house.
Court.
Who said?
We are talking about dun, 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 dun.
People have kids. Some kids be wilding up. Yeah. These are one of those stories. Dun, dun, dun,
we are talking about the world.
No,
she's speaking for the world, Craig.
They're not right for the world. She's the representative. So if there was a situation where in our household where the girls were bringing their girlfriends over, they were going to their girlfriends' houses, and we weren't letting her do that, I understand that. Like, okay, well, why can't I? I still think I probably would be the same way, where I would let them do a little bit more things than I would let her, because I don't think they're going to get taken advantage of. I think it's easier for my female daughters to get taken advantage of than it is for my sons to get sexually taken advantage of. That to me is what the protection part is. And that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? If you decide to go out to the movies with some dude and your intention isn't to have sex or be in that situation, but he's a bigger dude and he decides
you can't really protect
you're not going to be able to, you know what I'm saying? So it's not even about you making the right choices or you wanting to do X, Y, and Z. It's more
I have to get you a stun gun. You can protect yourself.
For shizzle. I mean, and that's, to me, at least in my situation,
legal, by the way. I don't know.
In my situation, that's the situation. And that's why there's a double standard, because it's the protection value.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
It's not about what you, like, your intention may not be to do that at all. But that dude might, and he might flip, and you might not be strong enough to fight him and get him off you. And now there's that situation. If the boys were to be with some chick and she got aggressive with them, and they can handle that, I would assume.
Can they?
I've been raped by a female before. I have. I'm just saying. I mean, so it can happen to men, but it was a very crazy situation. Okay, it happens. Listen. There's men out here on this planet that have had that happen to them as well. So
you know what? People don't talk about that.
Don't normalize. Look, I'm a normalizer. Me too.
Like life, that happened to David. Like it happens a lot where women use their stature, their title, their strength over.
She was strong. I would have had to fight her like a man. Like I tried to be forceful, and she was like, oh, yep. This is going. I'm gonna have to do a lot more fighting, and then
And I mean, but it's one of those things that I don't know.
It always seems like to me too, and this is not just your generation, not just you, because I know I did this too. You're campaigning for the stuff that we see as dangerous for you, that we don't think you need to be doing or putting yourself in those positions until you're grown. Maybe not even when you're grown, but you can do whatever you want when you're 18. So the thing is that
Africa, they sew them up.
You want to take a trip to Africa? Try and go to Africa, see the motherland.
They stitch them up.
It's a safety
until
thing. That's all it is.
And then I think yeah, something
is it
like
still
that.
called a circumcision?
Yeah, and I think in China too. After you have so many, they.
I think it's the cutoff at 3.
Yeah,
I thought it was 2.
Ooh, I'm on the borderline.
No, I think it's 2.
Uh-oh.
Where were we? Babe, where were we when we talked to that? We were at a casino.
Do you remember that movie? Did you guys see that movie on Netflix? David watched it, where like they only could have a certain amount of kids, and they had like triplets, and like they were hiding under the floorboards, and like
what happened?
Recycling their names.
What happened to Monday?
Yeah.
That was great.
That was a really good movie.
Super good movie.
I didn't watch it, but he told me about it. My description was very like good, wasn't it?
I thought you watched the whole. You need to watch it. That's a really good movie.
No.
Yes, we were in Vegas and they were getting food, and we were talking to a lady, and she was actually in that situation.
Kicked out? She had to get kicked out?
No, I think she had to give up a kid, or I forget what. I think she had to give up a kid because they had too many. Yeah, everything you heard. I'm like, dang, that stuff's real. She was like,
I heard something about that. That they had to sell.
Pull straws. Any money, mo. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Right? Fight to the death. I'd make y'all.
Squid Games.
I'd make y'all do it, right? I'd be like, hey, listen, like one of y'all gotta go, and I'm not choosing, so
gotta blast.
Y'all gonna have to figure this out.
No, that's very tragic. But I mean, it's life.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole recycle and learning and evolving. But
So to wrap up the double standards thing, I think it goes back to what I said about consequences. If you want to deal with the consequences of trying to be equal to whoever, then cool. You get the same as everybody else. I'm equally gonna try to make sure y'all are safe. If it's anything outside of that, I don't care. I trust y'all to be making good decisions and all that. But if it's, I think I'm pretty clean across the board on how I treat y'all. Just wanted to make sure y'all was awake. Had a case of the drops.
Why do y'all continue to scare me? I just saw my life flash before my eyes.
What was about to hit you in the head? Was it the camera that one time in the old studio?
Yep, the camera was falling.
Hilarious.
I did not state. We didn't state that Rihanna was pregnant.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to reiterate that.
What was funny to me was everybody talking about, is she? Y'all think she's clearly pregnant?
She was. What got me is that I was at work, right, and everybody was. I knew she was pregnant, and I was like, "Is she really pregnant?" And one of my coworkers, they were like, "No, she's not pregnant. That's postpartum."
Was it a dude?
Yeah, and then when it came to the end, she started rubbing her belly, and I'm like, "She's not rubbing her belly because she's hungry.
Yeah,
she's rubbing her belly.
No woman would rub their belly on stage.
Yeah,
like, that's not
starving.
Yeah, no.
Look, this is the sign for y'all better have some food in my green room.
Exactly.
When I get done.
She did a lot of pregnant people moves, like when she kept doing like this and then the hunch. And like when I was pregnant and I would dance. Those are the only dance
to do your hood rat thing
that I could do. And what I also want to say is, no one's talking about Rihanna when she was up there twerking it while she was pregnant. But when Cardi B did it, and she was twerking and pregnant, everybody was like, "Oh my God, Cardi B's twerking while she's pregnant."
Everybody's got preconceived notions on
okay?
who Cardi is, though. Like they already don't like. And that's why
I twerked up until my babies dropped.
You was in labor, like, get this out of me right
I was
now.
like, that's my water breath.
They tell you to push. You're like, no, okay.
I wish I could have had that experience.
That's terrible.
I got pushed.
People just need to leave people alone, man. I already knew.
Do.
I knew no matter what, when they said Rihanna was going to do whatever, there was people that already had pre-written hate about it without even seeing the performance, and they just pressed in once the performance happened.
Donald Trump gave a spiel on
He
her
said something about it?
performance. He said it was the worst performance ever. Why are you even on Twitter?
Her belly's huge.
Go
Huge.
do something else.
Belly's
But
huge.
I knew she was pregnant. I've been pregnant too many times to know. But she wanted the world to know because the way that she had that jumpsuit, she could have zipped it up and you would have never
Did
even
you
known.
hear? So
had it
she
placed perfectly.
pre-announced it.
Yeah,
did she?
on one of her
Yeah,
interviews.
she was talking to Nate Burleson, I think, and she said there I'm bringing out a special guest for the performance.
Oh, and the baby was the special guest.
That's why in the beginning she was
Somebody said that Rihanna baby made it to the playoffs before the Lions did.
all right, though, that's my time. I didn't see that one. That's
The
tight.
unborn baby made it before.
I'm not gonna lie, I did think that. I was like, dang, that baby made it to the Super Bowl, and the Lions probably never will.
Man. You know who wasn't at the Super Bowl? Drake. You know why?
Why?
Because he was trying to set aside some time for this deposition.
Oh
you know
yeah,
he's really on trial for that Tentacion murder.
I know he's getting deposed,
Really?
but for what? Are they trying? They never really said what his connection was though, and why he's getting deposed.
So
Are they trying to say he set him up or something? Is that deep?
So he filed a motion through his attorney asking the judge to set aside the subpoena requiring him to sit for a private deposition for this month. But the judge was persuaded by arguments made by the defense attorney to call Drake as a witness in the case because they feel like he has something to do with the murder. 3 men that robbed and murdered him. So he felt like they set him up because he did mention it in a song, and that's where this whole mentioning
Drake
stuff in
mentioned
lyrics. Yeah, he did mention it in the song.
Is there a quote?
Let's see, hold on. According to some obtained documents, Drake, one of the people sent Drake a Zoom link for the deposition without putting it under seal, would have composed Drake's security, given it to him, and like basically they tried to do it through a Zoom, and Drake's like, nah. So they were trying to like actually sit down, bring him in.
Oh, because he knows that Zoom video will get leaked.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if that gets leaked, oh my gosh, that's like.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what that's all about because I kept seeing that and I was like, okay. But then now this thing came out where he's like, they're like forcing him to sit down and be deposed, which is interesting to me.
Okay, so let me go to the
What are the kids saying on the
song.
street about this? I know y'all be looking texting.
Y'all
I
know.
haven't heard about that.
Oh, we're bringing some
just
hot,
heard
some
about
hot
Y'all
stuff.
heard about the UFO that flew over like Michigan?
There's
Like,
apparently
I
like
did hear
3
that.
or 4 things
yeah,
have been shot
there
down in the
was
last.
one in Canada, one in
Mhm.
Montana, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, and then there was one over like.
Have they said at all what they are yet?
No, they think it's not been released on what they think it is or what it is because they just don't want to release that yet.
Right.
But they have shot it down because they think
He's
it's
shooting
something
everything.
dangerous.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. They're shooting down everything over here.
They think it's something like serious, and they try to check with China because I guess China said something. About
Well,
it.
China had the balloon that
Yeah,
they shot
that's
down
what it
was
was.
China's.
Yeah.
So these subsequent things that have been that I guess they're
Yeah,
assuming.
China said that it wasn't theirs, so that's when the U.S. tried to. Yep.
See, that's what the funny part is. We worried about China. They just said UFOs is real. Y'all need to focus. Look, we all need to band together as Earthlings. We need to. There's 7.2 billion of us.
We really don't know who is aliens. I've seen some Earthlings who look like alien things.
Can you say little
So
alien boy, Rob?
So they're out here under disguise because
Lil Wayne been telling us for years we are not the same. I am a Martian. He's been saying it forever. What if it turns out? Right, the whole thing busts open, sky busts open, they come down, and he come off the. Told y'all.
With
Y'all
them
thought
red
I was.
boots?
Thought I was with the little
with
boys.
with the red boots.
All
right, so I found the 2 lyrics that Drake said, and I kind of put him in a hot seat just a tad bit. So in the first song, it was the song started from the bottom. He said, "If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again."
Ooh.
In that paragraph, and then the other song was that I'm upset. He said, "SMS triple X. That's the only time I ever shoot before the net."
Ooh, I didn't
And
even
shoot for my
catch that.
Yeah.
When I shoot my shot, they get wetty like I'm shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm upset because I don't remember. Let's see, what did?
Yeah, I didn't realize they had beef. Have you watched the documentary?
What documentary?
There's an XXX documentary on like Netflix. Talks about his whole life, his coming up, his career. Like it's actually really well done.
For who? Under
For XXX.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch it. What is it on?
Very well done. I think it's on Netflix.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, you should.
Apparently XXXTentacion, I always forget one X. I guess he was dissing Drake, saying that Drake stole some of his music that he made earlier, like in his career. Like,
Believable.
He said that he ripped him off of like his 2015 debut single. So that's why he, did a live apparently that was talking about him, and Drake didn't like him talking about him.
Huh. So I wonder if this is one of those things where they're reaching because of lyrics and because they had a beef, or if they've actually done some detective work and found the links.
They've done some detective
but wouldn't you think instead of deposing him and saying he's a witness, if it is something that serious and they have any kind of evidence, that they'd be...
No, because they have to depose you first before they really arrest you. They have to see your side of the story before they say, are you lying or are you telling the truth?
I guess.
Because they end up finding footage of him like a couple of minutes before when he took money out of the ATM, like before he got back into the car. Like they found all of that footage, and it's been kind of like released. So this trial has been going on for a very, very long time.
I've never heard about the trial happening. I didn't hear about the dudes that they caught that killed him or none of that until the whole deposition with Drake thing. I didn't even know they was on. Didn't the dude that killed Nipsey get? Did we ever figure out what he got? Didn't he not get enough time?
He got some time. I think he ended up getting life without parole or something like that.
Good.
But
you made it sound like he got 12 years or something.
I mean, it just the whole storyline of like what they were trying to say about him, like he didn't know and all this. It just was fake. It was just phony. I still don't understand it.
That is the one thing I feel bad about your generation, is you guys are growing up in a time where like there's so much death, there's so much like historical.
That's what we were talking about the other day, is that how your generation, y'all have been through history, but I think we've been through more history than
in a short time span.
In the 3 years that from 2020 to now, I think we've been in more history than from.
I think you guys have been in more history that actually affects you. Like in Argent, like we went through. Well, it affected me, but 9/11. It affected us as a country, but like only the people in New York or people who had people in places that were hit were really affected. Your generation, all these things that have been happening have directly affected you guys for the most part. Right. And it's been like one thing after another. Like I don't know, man.
I think
it's rough for y'all.
Oh my gosh, I never really looked into this whole like trial thing. Like this, it gets messy.
This is all we're gonna talk about for the next month.
I know, like, because I wasn't when
P really get into something, investigative journaling, right? Like we were talking about earlier. This would be a part of investigative journaling, really researching stuff and finding the deep stuff behind stuff that people aren't looking for, and really digging into stuff. I think you'd really enjoy it.
So he did an interview on the Breakfast Club when he first got out of jail. I didn't even know XXXTentacion went to jail, but
for beating the heck out of his girl. You gotta watch the documentary.
Okay, so I didn't even know that he had went to jail, but he went to jail. He came home. He did an interview on the Breakfast Club, and he talked about Drake, and he said that he's a great and he respects his career, but he just would have respected it better if he would have just asked him for his song instead of taking it and then throwing it on his album like it was his. He's like, I would have gave him the remix, and he could have took 100% of the royalties. He's like, but he didn't respect me. He didn't come to me, so like, which I mean, that's straight up understandable. Then he did a live, and in his live, he said, "Yo, somebody gonna shoot me." And then in 2018, XXXTentacion shared an Instagram post which read, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was at," and he added Drake. He said, "I'm snitching right now," and then he quickly deleted it. And then 3 months later, he was murdered after posting that. So the timeline of it all, it looks suspicious because I mean,
whether Drake did it or not.
Exactly. I mean, if you're threatening him, I mean, obviously probably saying you're threatening him.
Right.
So
Sheesh. Well, let me tell you this. Regardless of what Drake's involvement was, he ain't gonna get arrested or nothing like that. I can tell you that right now.
Really? Why not?
He makes too much money for too many people.
So he wouldn't get arrested because he makes so much money.
Yeah.
no, it's not the money.
If this was a regular facts,
So you think they're gonna try to be like, okay, he did it, but we're just not gonna tell the public?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then
That happens
on
more
that
often than you
song,
think.
he opens it and said 50,000. No, my head is disrespect. That's how much money XXX Tentacion took out the bank on that video footage. What? Like, so I mean,
I still
before he
don't
was shot
think-
in the head.
Unless okay, it's not gonna happen. But unless they find a direct paper trail of Drake paying these dudes, then ain't nothing gonna happen.
I mean, that's true, but we can't say that. He's gonna get slapped on his wrist. Look what happened to Cardi. She hired those girls to go beat up those girls in the bar because why? I was upset.
Didn't she get
was
time for that?
She didn't get time. She got like a couple of hours of like community service. I think she probably got probation that she probably did.
I thought she
from
was
home.
supposed to get time, but it got like commuted or whatever.
Yeah, it got like community service, but she didn't have to actually put behind bars. But luckily, no one died in that situation. If a girl would have died, she would be facing like attempted murder, premeditated murder, and all those.
Here's the
kinds of charges.
really crappy part about it too. If XXXTentacion was a Harry Styles and got murdered like that, somebody would have been in jail and it would have been a big thing. But because he was a quote unquote troublemaker and a troubled rapper and had all these like. Is what it is. So that's why I say, even if Drake was involved, do you think they're going to push that hard to take Drake down over the death of XXX? I don't think so.
I gotta look back into this. I don't remember seeing these interviews when they first came out of them two feuding, but I just think anytime you tie somebody like that into a storyline, it's always going to get hard because facing it with a person like Drake, I mean, they have attorneys from yin yang.
My question is, why isn't that being more publicized? I don't see that on the news. I don't see that anywhere but online. I've seen a couple people post something about it, like some Instagram pages that I don't even really find that reputable. So I didn't even know think it was a real thing.
I haven't seen it at all.
Me neither.
I saw it like one. You would think that would be major headline news, right? But like I said, Drake makes too many people too much money.
That's just like at the Grammys when Offset and Quavo was allegedly having a little ruffle and tuffle behind the camera. Yeah, you didn't see the footage that came out of Cardi B yelling, "Both of y'all wrong! You both are wrong!" Yeah, behind the scenes. So allegedly,
they had beef before
Takeoff. They had beef before. Takeoff was trying to be the middle person to like get them both to be common ground because they're family. So like that's what you do in your family. And I guess when Quavo was performing the tribute, Offset wanted to go on stage and perform the tribute as well, and blocked him and would not allow him on
Quavo's
stage
people.
Him. Yeah, Quavo's people. And then Quavo and Offset had words because again, I just feel like death is weird. Like, how dare you take this moment away from me? Like, let's put our beef aside and do this for our brother, our cousin. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, to give homage to him, but they weren't having it, and it ended up being a little scruffle. But that's always like the hard part when it comes to death. I mean, life is too short, and I do feel like some things, depending on what it is, depending on what it is and who it is, it all can be mended if both parties truly want that. But it can't be one sided.
Again, we don't know what happened. For them to break up the Migos and for Quay and
I've heard it's contractual. It's all
I heard so
paperwork
too, and there's people that are saying like the song they put out right before they broke up had a bunch of stuff in it that was like foreshadowing of
like that song Messy.
Yeah,
but that song Messy was only Offset and it was only Takeoff and Quavo.
Right,
Offset was
it was them explain, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Offset is in the process of taking QC to court because like they won't give him like his name back. Like it's been allegations
We've
that
talked
Cardi.
about that shit so many times.
Yeah, but I mean that's what happens. People feel like I own you. You know what I'm saying? And then if you have somebody who wants to get out, and you got other members who want to stay in, now it's a battle because, bro, why you want to invest this money? Because I don't want to live this life. I'm like, I want my solo projects. But then we started as a group, but now because people don't understand when you're in a group and you got to divide. First of all, when you're in a group and you're dividing it by 3. That's not even including those 3 people's managers, sets, and all this. So every time you get paid, you're dividing it by 10.
Dog,
That's no money.
Today, somebody on Instagram did us all a favor, and they posted Kyrie's income, right? And it was like,
how did that get posted?
Well, they broke down the taxes, the income, that's all fair. The Fair Information Act, you can find all that.
Really?
So it was like 30. I think it was like 39 million a year is what his contract is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they broke down federal tax, state tax, jock boy tax or something like that, like something like a jock tax. And there was a couple other FICA, a couple other things. It ended up being 57% taxed. So his income take home off of 39 million is like 15.7. I'm like, God.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that's nothing, but I mean, like when you
compared
break that down,
to the work that you do to get what you. So now
that's only taxed off of the government.
Right.
That's not even taxed off.
That's
what
not
he has
him
to pay.
breaking down
That's
exactly.
what he has to pay his agents and his
managers.
managers.
He got to bust that. That 15's got to get bust down to probably like 50. You know what I'm saying? 50 different people, and then he's got to pay all of his expensive ass bills because I'm sure he's got mansions and da 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 da. You know, people don't understand that. And then you think of like regular working class people who make $100,000 a year, and you're like, oh, you're doing well. Well, here we go. throw that 45% down. Throw that.
Let's play. What's that game? Fruit Ninja. Let's chop it
that
all
whole
away.
check getting chopped down. I was just talking to my wife about that the other day. We're talking about winning the lotto, and I'm like, man, I don't think at this point, as much as we talk about how nice it would be and how great it would be, I don't even think it'd be worth it. Because for one, they're chopping all of that money down and taking it all in taxes, and then what you're left with, you're obviously going to help some family members out. You're going to get yourself some nice stuff, and then at the end of the day,
yeah, literally broke, zero, zilch, nothing, nada.
I'm still stuck on that.
Where you been?
The last time I heard about the Migos is that one of them died.
But they were
been broken up before that.
Really?
You know that song Hotel Lobby?
No.
Put it out in the hotel lobby.
The only song that I know by them is the Motorsport with Cardi B.
Haley.
Well, yeah, I don't think she
just
so.
No, because that was when they first came out. She said the last song.
That's funny.
It's okay. It's all right.
That's the perfect depiction of like kids, right?
We think that like that's our generation.
No, look, check
like,
it. No, I'm not even talking about the music part, like how their brains work. We just sit here, we have like a half-hour long deep talk.
And she's still stuck
like
on
you get right. She's like, wait a minute, when did you go to?
No, because Daniel's worse at that than me.
He is. Oh, he's so bad.
Slow.
I feel like he does it on purpose. So Daniel is, and it's almost like every conversation, right? You'll have the full conversation. You get through all the details, talk about it all. And the second you're done, he walks up. What happened? Or what are you guys talking about? You want to explain it to him? Because I'm not doing it. Everything.
That is funny.
Oh man, that was good. Thank you for that.
That's how kids' brains work. That's why now I am a chart girl. Okay, everything's going on a chart. You want to know? Look on the wall chart. You got a question? Look on the wall chart. You want food? Which food item off that wall chart do you want? Because I'm tired of repeating myself. When you come in, look at that chart. These are the things you do. When you wake up, these are the things you do. Like, no. I even got a chart for the husband.
You thinking a hotel, motel, holiday inn, acting up, then you think a friend.
That's the old school
That song was teaching people how to be ratchet.
I have.
The way you just sang it, it makes me feel like you've definitely played that in the house before. You have. That face, you did. You did. Well, today's show was an awesome show to
Wait.
get some.
I don't think I told. Speaking of music, you know who my favorite artist in the whole wide world is?
Marion Barry.
Excuse me? Who?
What's the guy?
John Mayer.
There we go. Mayer.
Guess who's going to see him on March
Oh, you got
22nd at
the
LCA. So if anybody happens to be in Detroit and at the John Mayer concert, do not say hi to me. I will be in my zone and you may see me cry. Stay away from me. I don't want no pictures. I'm not signing no autographs. I gotta have my moment and I will cry. I think all like this last couple years of tragedies and just being there crying.
I'm gonna tell my mom to record it.
That's okay. That's all right.
Mama record it.
My wife can record it. It's just nobody else. I think I need a good cry. Everybody needs a good cry.
Listen, ain't nothing wrong with a cry.
Uh-uh.
You know, I got ready to cry the other day, and then my kids started beating on my leg, and I was like, "For what? Why am I about to waste these tears?"
That would have made me cry more.
I was like, "Why am I gonna?"
You know how I know I need a good cry? Because I started watching. You guys heard of Next Level Chef? It's a new Gordon Ramsay cooking show. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't. But if you want to tell me that you cry from
Hold
the
on.
show,
Wait a minute. Okay. So some have the elimination round was coming up, and this girl who I was a fan of, she was cooking, and she started crying. She said, "I'm just really proud of myself, chef." And I was like, "Proud of you too."
You wish that was you. Huh?
I was like, I do. I was like, I got a little emotional. Like, babies were sleeping. I was like,
you know what
Man, I
show
need
made
to
me cry
cry.
recently? Jeannie in Georgia.
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Yes, that made me cry too.
Y'all talk about me.
That show is actually a sad moment. Like she was burning herself.
This is a show. I'm talking about a real life person who was triumphed and had gone through some things and was always shy and scared and been told by her Asian parents that she couldn't do nothing if she wasn't a doctor. So she decided to go and be a chef. And now she was on the TV show with Gordon Ramsay and she was very proud of herself. And she was crying. Okay, that's real life.
That's true.
Y'all talking about some Genie in Georgia. They ain't even real
That's
people.
true. Have y'all watched the new season of You?
No, but it's out, right? Didn't it come
came
out on the 9th?
9th. Yeah.
Oh,
You know what's coming out on the 23rd?
What?
Outer Banks.
Mhm.
I don't think you ever watched it, did you?
No.
Do you know when the first season of You came out, she would ask me every day if I'd finished it, and I hadn't for like a month. I know, you need to catch up.
I don't know what that is.
It's on Netflix. It's called You.
I'm not-
It's about a
Oh,
stalker.
that was
You're
scary.
2 seasons behind. Yeah. He's like the main character. He's like the psychic killer.
I don't want to watch it.
I know.
So do
right?
you know he petitioned in this new season? I think he said no sex scenes or something like that.
Really?
He petitioned one of them in there, and I was like, oh, that's what's up for him.
That's
And
dope.
did you know that Queen Latifah has a no dye clause in her contract?
No dye? Like, can't dye her hair?
No, she can't dye on the scene if she's playing in a movie because she was like every movie that she used to play in, she would die, and she was like,
Because
that means
Set
it's
It
not a
Off.
sequel.
Because Set It Off, she died so awesomely.
Yep. And she's like, I don't want to keep dying because there's no sequel, and that means if it's not a sequel, I can't keep getting paid for a movie.
Let's go. Can you come see me, bruh?
Yeah, that is smart though.
Yep.
I wonder how long she's had that clause. Probably right after Set It Off.
I think probably right after Set It Off.
I feel like if you do something iconic like that, they should never want you to do it in another movie because you're not going to ever do it as well as that was.
Yeah, you're not gonna top it.
At all. Ever.
You're not gonna top it. Poppin' rocket.
Hey, you know what? That's smart though. I feel like the first time we get approached to do a movie role, we need to put that in our closet because they just gonna kill us off real quick.
No, I'm not
Like
tripping.
first
and
5
dying.
minute of the movie,
I'm not tripping and dying.
you know the black dude dies first. You guys.
They do. Remember Trey Songz played in Saw? What was it, Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
And didn't he die like his thong got wrapped around his head or something?
Huh?
A song.
Wow.
It
The
was like,
worst part about that is now I'm picturing Trey Songz in a thong wrapped around his head, and I don't want that. I don't want that image.
Sorry.
You should have asked him when you saw him like a month ago. Yeah.
No,
All right.
not the way he did Kiki.
She
who
said
is-
she wants.
who's
Whatever
pregnant.
happened to that whole situation? Did that ever get resolved?
No. And she didn't press
I
charges.
thought she was going to move forward with that. Last time we talked about it, I thought she had planned on.
She
went
talked
public.
about it and she
but
went
she
public,
never
but no
pursued
one
anything?
like stood beside her and like pressed the issue.
We still need to reach out to Kiki. Kiki, if you're listening,
She is pregnant and looking so cute.
say word.
Yeah, you saw that.
Don't be paying attention.
Don't you watch Saturday Night Live?
No.
Oh, I don't either. But she announced her pregnancy.
You see why I can't? Do you see
know.
why I can't stand y'all? Because y'all just like her, and I can't stand her. I can't stand none of y'all.
I don't watch either. I just saw this movie. Yeah, she announced her pregnancy.
You don't watch? What you mean you don't watch? I don't watch it either. But what you mean you don't watch it?
Because you look like the type of person that watches TV.
Oh, you gonna start this at 6:55? You gonna hit me with that at 6:55 though?
I'm sorry.
You look like the type of person that watches it. Ooh. We're gonna table this one.
Do you not watch TV like that?
I do.
See?
I was just being the stereotypical American. What do you mean? I'm so offended. Well, do you watch? Of course I do. Every Saturday. Religiously.
I was gonna say, like, you watch the news, so I know you watch TV
morning.
Shows.
Every morning.
I never watch the news.
I stopped watching Saturday Night Live though when like all the greats left. When Pete Davidson started being one of like the main people on there, I was like,
yeah.
See, the cast now. The only
I never
person
watched
on
it.
there,
It was just always like
only person on there
cringy.
from back in the day is like Keenan Thompson. He's the only one left from like, which I feel bad for him because that means he ain't getting no other roles or jobs.
But he's probably the highest paid person on there right now, holding down the fort because he's the oldest person.
I'm gonna look into
So
that
he
because that's
probably-
interesting.
He probably has a.
That'd be interesting to see. All right, grab the
What's his name?
Keenan Thompson. You gotta shake it up. I'm doing this right.
She's stirring it with her.
I forgot there are novels in there,
He
so it's
gets
really hard to.
between 2 to 3 million a year. That's his salary.
A year. The cast of Friends was getting like $1 million an episode.
Oh.
See? Well, don't have to.
Am I reading it?
Can you read?
No, I can't read
So wait, hold on, before you say that. Typically, every one we read ends up coinciding with what we've talked about through the show. I think there's only been one so far.
This does.
Every time.
It does.
And look, see?
This
So
one
now
does.
y'all know this isn't rigged because she picked it.
Yeah, she picked it.
Okay. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
That does matter. See?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting good.
Nope.
No, we keep them.
Because we got to post them and then we don't want to read them twice.
Yup. That's what's up. See? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as you keep
How'd she
going.
get the... You gave
The
her the
good
easy
one.
one.
I know. We got last week we got one. We were like,
I'm like...
yeah, all right, we didn't read that. No, and hers is short. This
The
is
shortest one.
It was on 2 pages. Why?
She decided to pick novels.
Look, I have
Do.
It was my to-do list in the back of the day. Good thing I did that though. Even though
Don't ever leave any kind of piece of paper around her because there will be scribbles and notes all over it.
I do the same thing.
Look, it's
Man.
it's just a girl thing, okay?
That
Our
went
brains
quick.
Work that way. Our brains work that way. It says Keenan has made the most on SNL so far.
Okay.
Salary.
Well, that's good. At least we know he's getting his money's worth.
Yeah, I mean,
Good
he's
for
been on
him.
there the longest. So
I think he's stuck now.
it said 2003
Is
Yeah,
when he
he's been-
started.
Yeah, he's been on there. So that's what 20 years.
I think, dude, a
Yeah, it's
vampire though.
2003.
If you look at him from Good Burger, which was in like
He's
early
using baby
2000s.
pee.
Welcome to the Good Burger, home of the Good Burger.
Can I take your order?
He definitely has lost some.
He looks the
some
same
weight.
though. He doesn't look like he's aged. He's been on SNL for 20 years.
He
Does it
got
look
that gray
like
hair in his beard and stuff now.
he don't look like he's been on SNL for 20 years?
He don't.
Was he in his 40s? Can't be much older than me.
God.
God.
Let's see. Keenan
It's got a big
Thompson.
name.
Age. Sorry, y'all. I'll be using one every time.
That's all good.
All right. Keenan Thompson is 44.
Yeah, he'll look
With
for
two children.
Cheers.
He's married.
Who's his wife?
His wife. Oh, Oh, he got married twice. Oh, they got married in 2011. Oh, they separated in 2021. Dang.
Wow.
Christina Evelyn. Why they separate?
I think people see. You know why people don't be listening to.
Oh my gosh, that was his wife?
This girl. She was an actress. She played on. Hold on, let me tell y'all what she played on.
I think everybody needs to listen to. Dun, 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 dun. Let's stay together.
Oh, she played on Minnie Supreme.
Who was that?
I think that was that pageant.
Was it Disney
show.
Channel?
That pageant show.
With the little kids, little babies?
Mm-hmm. She's a model, actress, and interior designer.
Which means her modeling and acting career didn't really go.
And social media outlet person. But I feel like I've seen her on so many things. I did not know that was his wife. No, maybe I thought I saw her.
Nah, she looked like every other brunette in Hollywood. Probably why.
Jesus.
I'm not saying that to be general.
Because from
She really does.
2011 to 2021, yeah, that's a 10-year alimony gap.
Oh, here we go.
What? I'm just saying, she secured the bag
Yeah, I guess.
after 10 years.
I mean, if he only makes, didn't we just talk about busting down income? He only making $2 million a year off of SNL. Only, I'm just saying only.
But that doesn't include how much he's getting paid from other gigs too. He's doing commercials, sponsorship. We don't know. He might be on the Skechers commercials with Snoop.
You leave Uncle Snoop alone. Hey,
That's
tell me,
Uncle Snoop. We
why
are
am
not
I
getting
wearing my
that.
Skechers right now? Hey, Snoop, holler at me if you need somebody else in your commercials.
Inspired by Snoop.
I'm gonna take a video at the gym with these on.
You like Snoop by the shoot. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
All right, we're over our time, y'all. We're 2 minutes over. Today's show has been great. Thank you so much, H Dizzle, for coming in and chilling with us. We'll give her one. I mean, it's not really hard to blend in with us. We talk too much.
Facts. We just sit here and talk. Like, people are always like, "Oh my god, what do you guys talk about on your show?" I'm like, I have no idea. I don't
Everything.
really
Today
know.
was really a freestyle catch-up day because it's been so long since we've, been in here being live with you guys. So it's more of a catch-up farewell. Wednesday, I'm gonna post the poster today. Wednesday, we will have Rachel. Her interview will be airing.
Oh yeah,
Rachel Elizabeth.
Keith, make sure you.
the TikToker.
I'll send it out in our groups and everything too. But tell everybody you got Rachel on the show on Wednesday.
Yes. TikTok, you don't stop.
Hey.
That should be their thing. I'm gonna position that. I'm gonna close that deal.
Is that who sings that song? I'll be sure. I will see another song. I wanna sex you up.
But what does that really mean, right? But what does that mean? Nobody really knows what that means. It's insinuating.
I want to sex you up. What else could that mean?
That sounds way better than girl. I want to
serenade, entertain, escape.
See,
sex you up.
See, that sounds way better than Waukesha. Do you love me? Do you love me not?
That's a fact.
That really hit the spot. Tastes like candy.
Sweet like fruit. Ooh. That's the part. That's the part I lost to that. Tastes like candy, sweet like fruit. Ooh.
That's just like that perk 10. Like that's just. Now I gotta show you this other video of this other guy. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta show you a few videos. All right, y'all.
Oh goodness.
It's been fun.
It's been trill. It's been so freaking
real. I'm your other princess of all.
I'm Cujo Speaks.
Until tomorrow for Tell 'em Tuesday and Wednesday for Whoa Wednesday. Ladies, stay pretty.
King, stay king.
Deuces.
Bye, Alicia.
Doing something